Chapter 407, Blacksmith Secret of Success. Chapter 407, Blacksmith Secret of Success. The energy fluctuations are very violent there. Except for the 4 kinds of terrifying disasters, there are also 3 layers of barriers. Even I could not break inside. The ice-cold flame sent a message to Shi Yan. Standing under the enormous beast, Shi Yan frowned and quietly observed the beast's massive pupil. After sensing for a while, he realized that the energy fluctuations there were intimidating. Without using the external force, he didn't believe he could enter that heaven gate. Isn't it true that you have a secret treasure that could break all kinds of barriers? The ice-cold flame communicated with him again. Maybe you can use that secret treasure to enter the heaven gate to find out the secrets in there. Shi Yan was startled and then beamed a smile. He took out the sky-breaking shuttle, pouring his divine sense into it to connect with the soul inside. Can I enter that heaven gate? The sky-breaking shuttle suddenly emitted an intense light. The edge of the sky-breaking shuttle faintly pointed to the heaven gate, shooting out a ray of fine silver light, shining on the heaven gate. Half a day later, a response was sent to him. You can go inside, but I need half of your profound qi to break the barrier. Shi Yan thought for a while and slightly nodded. Okay, I will pour the profound qi into you. Get through the channel. I want to go in there. After talking, Shi Yan poured the profound qi from his body into the sky-breaking shuttle. Under the massive profound qi infusion, the sky-breaking shuttle suddenly discharged bright, silver light, hitting that heaven gate. Bang! A shocking quiver came from the heaven gate as a bunch of bright silver lights emerged from there. Shi Yan didn't think too much, immediately turned into a bunch of stars which followed along the bright silver light to directly penetrate the heaven gate and disappeared instantly. In a vast expanse of space, there was only a decayed mummy. This mummy wore a blue gown, and it was sitting cross-legged. His left hand held a very thick, old book and seemed like it was carefully reading the contents of the book. It should be a god realm warrior who had condensed his great power to build this strange space. In this space, Shi Yan immediately remembered the space that he had entered before, which had been created by the star god Ouyangji. The scene here was not as bright as that space, but very similar. This space here should also be built by a god realm warrior. This one was not the same type of heaven gate that had been created over so many years like the chasm battlefield. Instead, it had been created by a god realm warrior out of sheer boredom. This heaven gate didn't seem to be too mysterious nor dangerous. The territory area was also limited. Standing in this strange space, Shi Yan looked around and saw only misty white fog all over the place. He couldn't see farther anyway. Hesitating for a while, he didn't rush to check that mummy yet. Instead, he walked around but got nothing. In this spacious area, there was nothing else except this mummy. All the mysteries were perhaps in that ancient corpse. Shi Yan slowly walked to the mummy while the rest of his profound qi was quietly gathering. The star shield and the dark shield then spread out together to guard against any dangers that might bounce up from that ancient mummy. Beyond his expectation, even after he came close to that corpse, he didn't encounter any dangers nor felt any barriers. When he was close to the corpse, he could see 4 words on the old book that the ancient corpse was holding in his hand. Blacksmith Secrets of Success. What? Shi Yan's heart slightly bounced while his eyes were brightening. Is this the secluded place of the ancient blacksmith? Lingering here for quite a long time, through his subtle observation, he knew that this place should be the gathering place of blacksmiths. There were many furnaces, forging materials which were no longer useful, and also some secret treasures that had been refined. Apparently, there existed many powerful blacksmiths in this strange space. Although Shi Yan didn't know why all of them had disappeared, he could be sure that everything here was related to blacksmiths. In the ancient time, blacksmiths and alchemists were both crucial parts of the warrior's world. Whether it was in ancient times or modern times, blacksmiths and alchemists both enjoyed a distinguished position. Every blacksmith or alchemist was an extraordinary warrior. Secret treasures refined by blacksmiths and pellets refined by alchemists were the important factors in enhancing warrior strength. If a warrior held a powerful weapon as well as all kinds of pellets, then whether in practice or battle, he would surely have the upper hand over one who didn't possess these items. A blacksmith with a profound realm could create sacred-level secret treasures. Such a blacksmith would have the respect from all other warriors. The reason that the Spirit Treasure sect could dominate the divine Great Land for so many years was thanks to having many blacksmiths and alchemists. If it didn't have a big number of blacksmiths and alchemists with high levels like that, perhaps it might not be able to become one of the 7 ancient factions of the divine Great Land. In short, blacksmiths in this world were absolutely precious, and they received respect from all warriors. The more powerful a blacksmith was, the better privilege he could have. Although this blacksmith had been weathered for so many years, he still maintained his reading posture. Shurian didn't know at which level this blacksmith was, but if he could build the Heaven Gate, he was at least a God Realm warrior. A blacksmith would consider being a powerful blacksmith as their important pursuit. Levels were only a necessary condition to fulfill in their pursuit. In general, a blacksmith with God Realm cultivation base might also be a sacred level blacksmith and could refine sacred level secret treasures. A sacred level blacksmith. Shurian line of sight moved while his eyes brightened. In the entire divine Great Land, God-level blacksmiths seemed to have disappeared a long time ago. The most powerful blacksmith now was only at the sacred level, who could refine sacred-level secret treasures. Even the Spirit Treasure sect only had 2 sacred-level blacksmiths, who were the most powerful protectors for the Spirit Treasure sect's domination in the divine Great Land. Shurian's eyes brightened. He stared at the old book Blacksmith's Secrets of Success in the mummy's hands. His heart pounded fast as he couldn't stop the desire to possess that book. He didn't know if it were dangerous. Yen stretched his hands out to catch the Blacksmith's Secrets of Success. His skin turned to purple, while many spots of starlight were twinkling on the back of his hand. He was very cautious. When one of his fingers touched that Blacksmith's Secrets of Success, a brutal, surging spirit suddenly burst out from the old book. Instantly, Shurian's sea of consciousness swayed. His spirit seemed to be locked by a mysterious soul barrier he couldn't even think. Truly powerful, Shurian reacted decisively, retrieving his hands, holding his breath, and reinforcing his mind. As soon as his fingers left the Blacksmith's Secrets of Success, the surging spirit also disappeared. It seemed that as long as he didn't touch the old book, there would be no spiritual fluctuations released. However, with a slight touch, those surging spiritual beams would lock his mind and directly imprison his spirit. With a cold face, Shurian didn't dare to retake the actions. He carefully looked at the old book and didn't find anything unusual. After Shurian pulled his finger back, there was no spiritual sense. He knew that the terrifying spiritual surging was definitely from the old book. Maybe it came from its pages. Every page might also have a strong spiritual fluctuation. As long as he touched it, he would suffer from the impact of that energy. Although he had reached the sky realm, he didn't know what to do with these horrifying spiritual fluctuations. He had a deep understanding of various types of Upanishads, and his perception of souls was much more profound than that of a typical warrior. So, if even he couldn't resist this kind of terrible spiritual surging now, he believed that other sky realm warriors would absolutely find it difficult to feel safe under the impact of those fluctuations. No matter what, he needed to take the book first. This old book was definitely a precious treasure of the blacksmiths. Shurian's eyes changed a little bit. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind. No matter how evil this book was, he had to keep it in his storage ring, and then he could slowly explore its secrets later. He reached out again. This time he pointed the storage ring towards the old book and then waited until it touched that old book. Then he quickly triggered his mind. A flow of light flashed. That old book disappeared and stayed inside his storage ring. As long as his fingers didn't touch the book, the violent spiritual fluctuations would not burst out. His mind sensed it a little bit, and then he realized that the old book was retrieved by the storage ring indeed. He then let out a sigh of relief. He looked at the ancient corpse and wanted to see how abnormal that book was. Boom! A loud noise suddenly came up from that ancient corpse. It then turned into a strange plume of smoke and disappeared into thin air in this strange space. The old book and this weathered ancient corpse seemed to have a close connection. Since the book disappeared from the corpse's hand, it seemed not to feel the need to exist anymore, and then disappeared just like that. Not only that, when the ancient corpse turned into ashes, this space also began to crack, as some splits appeared. Shi Yan's face changed. He didn't overthink and immediately communicated with the ice-cold flame. A bunch of silver lights flashed up, and Shi Yan quickly drilled into it. That bunch of light brought Shi Yan flying outside, following the channel that the sky-breaking shuttle had broken through earlier. In the cold space, Shi Yan turned into a column of starlight and returned to the ancient city from that strange space. Chapter 408. Restore the Original Shape. Chapter 408. Restore the Original Shape. The space was destroyed. All 4 kinds of disaster in the ancient city seemed to be attracted by that heaven gate, as they crazily rushed into the gate, which was about to break in pieces. Shi Yan stood below, looking at the disasters blowing into the heaven gate, and then watching the space rifts in the sky. His face looked shocked. The heaven and earth had a mutation. The sky revealed a beam of dazzling light in which space's chaotic movements could be seen. In the burst of violent roars, the heaven gate bulged, finally turning into a small spot of light and disappearing above the ancient city. The ancient city suddenly restored its quietness. Even the beasts that had been gathering also seemed to know that there was no more meaning to continue to guard, and so they all left the ancient city. The 4 surrounding mountains collapsed in an instant and razed to the ground. The weaving galaxies in the sky slowly faded like a river drying out, and thus it also quickly lost its previous mysterious look. A graceful figure had a glimpse down from the sky and then turned into a beam of light, flying away. Shi Yan frowned, stared at that beautiful figure for a moment while he was wearing a grave look. Although he was far apart, he could still recognize that figure was Aya, who had earlier gone missing. He didn't know why this woman was in the sky or what had happened to her. Her leaving made Shi Yan feel that this ancient city had nothing else to be attached to. Sure enough, at the weaving point, many warriors also began to fly away, not continuing to linger in the ancient city for any longer. These people seemed to know that the ancient city no longer had secret treasures, and thus they would harvest nothing if they continued to stay. The book, Blacksmith's Secrets of Success in the Ancient Mummy's Hand, seemed to be the reason of this ancient city's existence. Since Shi Yan took the book, all of the strange treasures of this place also disappeared, which meant that this ancient city had no more mysteries left. The beast's bones also exploded into pieces in the heaven gate, scattering in every corner of the ancient city. Several figures in the sky seemed to look at Shi Yan, who was standing below, and thus they slowly descended near him. Shi Yan frowned and looked at the sky, realizing that they were Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others. Shi Yan let out a sigh of relief and put down his guard. While jumping into the heaven gate, he had consumed much of his spirit. Therefore, his current state was not very good. If the warriors in the sky considered him as their target to kill, he would be in danger given his situation at the moment. Zhao Feng and the others slowly landed. "Kid, why did you come here?" Zhao Feng shouted with an astonished face. "Kid, what the hell are you doing here? Why has this strange place restored its normal state?" Even the galaxy and the ancient corpses in the sky also disappeared. What did you do? Li Yu, Qi Xiao, and the others also looked at him with puzzled faces. When they were still fighting with the ancient corpses in the sky, they realized that the ancient city had a big change. The ancient corpses went into the space rifts one by one without leaving a trace. After observing everything around, they realized that the ancient city's mutation seemed to be related to Shi Yan's deeds. They were all astonished and immediately came down here. The warriors from other forces saw the change of this ancient city. They knew that it was no longer necessary for them to continue staying here, and thus they all left and went to another exotic land. I don't know what happened. Sure, Yen shook his head, not wanting to tell them about what really happened to him. The blacksmith's secrets of success of the blacksmith, there might be the most precious treasure in the ancient city. Although he didn't know how valuable this book was, since this blacksmith's secrets of success was kept in his storage ring, the ancient city immediately had such a big change like this. Thus, he could already know how crucial it was. In the Grace mainland, blacksmiths were extremely rare, and so this secret treasure was even more precious. If people knew that he had taken this blacksmith's secrets of success, perhaps he would encounter a lot of troubles and might arouse some high-class blacksmiths of the Grace mainland, who still maintained a good relationship with God, realm warriors. If those blacksmiths knew that he had this precious refining method, they would come and find him at any cost and would deprive this blacksmith's secrets of success from him. After spending a long time in the Grace mainland, he had realized the cruelty of this world. He knew that as long as he had a powerful strength, he could do whatever he wanted in this world. No legal morality could control him. You didn't find anything unusual? Zhao Feng asked while his eyes flashed a trace of surprise. He seemed to be very curious, as he always felt that this ancient city's mutation certainly had something to do with Shi Yan. Kai was also puzzled. Her beautiful eyes glinted with a beam of strange light. She hesitated a bit before speaking softly. I always have a feeling that we have all been too focused on fighting above, but the things we got there are far less than the harvest here. Although I don't know what you got, since this strange land suddenly lost all of its mysteries, it is certain that the most precious treasure here has been taken. Zhao Feng's and Li Yu's eyes brightened as they both felt that Kai was right. They looked at Shi Yan with complicated faces. Kid, tell us. We are really curious. Zhao Feng grinned. Curiosity can get people killed. I know that, but I still want to know what you have harvested after all. I want to know what the most precious treasure in this exotic land is. Shi Yan still shook his head while his face remained cold. Nothing. Everyone knew that Shi Yan didn't want to say about it. Zhao Feng and Li Yu looked at him for a long while. As seeing his determined attitude, they then helplessly stopped asking. Both of them considered Shi Yan as the brightest star of the divine radiant cult in the future. As they still hoped to rely on Shi Yan to enhance their positions in the divine radiant cult, they obviously didn't want to offend him at this point in time. So, they didn't continue to ask him. As for Qi Xiao, Kai and Zuosu, they all had to rely on Shi Yan to be safe all the way on the trip. When facing Shi Yan, they always felt that they owed him many favors. Therefore, seeing Shi Yan unwilling to say anything, they naturally stopped asking. I don't think it's necessary for us to continue staying here any longer. Shi Yan smiled and looked up at the sky. Should we leave this place? I just saw Aya, Kai said with a dark face. That bitch has had her calculations against us all the way. At the critical point of time, she wanted us dead to get more precious treasures. If I have a chance, I'll give her a lesson for sure. The two brothers flashed a hateful look as they also resented Aya. She's the first one who left this place. If I am right, she will go to another exotic place. Perhaps we will have the opportunity to see her again. Shi Yan nodded and said with a cold voice, This woman has a wicked heart. She has never considered us her companions. If I have a chance, I'll handle her. If so, then let's go together. Zhao Feng burst into laughter. Kid, I still want to ask you many things. I think that you also need to know more about the Divine Radiant Cult. Our Divine Radiant Cult in the Divine Great Land dominates the entire area, and we are the oldest sect in the Divine Great Land. You are so outstanding, and if you go to the Divine Great Land, the Divine Radiant Cult will obviously invite you to our sect's holy land. The Divine Radiant Cult. Shi Yan was agitated at heart while his face changed slightly. According to Zhao Feng, the Divine Radiant Cult was the place that could protect him as a highly respected young, outstanding warriors. Moreover, it was one of the most powerful ancient factions in the Divine Great Land. This sect had secret methods which were related to various types of mysterious martial arts, along with different techniques to use martial arts. This sect's secret methods were way more improved than those of the other 3 divine sects. If he had the opportunity to come to the Divine Great Land, he could use the Divine Radiant Cult's power. Therefore, it seemed that if he stayed in the Divine Great Land, he would have a lot of convenience and benefits. If it was possible to use the power of Divine Radiant Cult to enhance his cultivation base, expand his knowledge, and help him understand the Upanishads more, it was not bad at all. I think I will go to the Divine Great Land, but not at the moment. Sure, Yin contemplated for a while, then talked to Zhao Feng with a smile. I still have one thing to do in the Endless Sea. After I have done the business here in the dark, magnetic, noxious mist, I will go back to the Endless Sea. Then, once everything there is settled, I will visit the Divine Great Land. There is nothing interesting there, Zhao Feng muttered, compared to the Divine Great Land, be it the level of warriors or martial techniques or martial spirits. They are all far behind than ours. Our Divine Great Land is the gathering center of all warriors in the Grace mainland. We have all kinds of wonderful things that you could never believe. You can have anything you want. Shi Yan nodded. You don't need to persuade me. After I settle down the matter in the Endless Sea, I will certainly travel to Divine Great Land. We will talk more. I will tell you about the Divine Radiant Cult and how to find us when you go there in the future. Seeing Shi Yan determined to go to the Endless Sea, Zhao Feng didn't continue to talk him out of it. I can be your guide there. All right, Shi Yan nodded with a smile. Zhao Feng looked very joyful. His attitude was also friendly. At this time, a bunch of burning fires suddenly flew over from afar, aiming at Shi Yan. The fires were extremely hot, covering the entire area. Under that scorching heat, warriors beside Shi Yan all felt uncomfortable and hastily gathered their strength to resist. Zhao Feng's eyes shot out a light, staring at that earth flame, and suddenly shouted, "That is the burning power of the sun refined spirit." Li Yu's eyes lit up while she expressed a frightened look. Chapter 409 9 Types of Heaven Flames. Chapter 409 9 Types of Heaven Flames. Shi Yan didn't say anything, but just smiled and stretched out his hand. The blood vein ring shot out blood light, and the incoming earth flame disappeared into his blood vein ring. At the same time, the ice-cold flame also went into the blood vein ring. That's the burning power of the sun, refined spirit. Zhao Feng's eyes reflected the hot flames, looking at Shi Yan with surprise. Kid, didn't I feel it wrong? Yes, it does have the burning power of the sun, refined spirit, Shi Yan nodded. For those who use the sun power to cultivate, the power of the sun, refined spirit is the most precious treasure. If I can use the sun, refined spirit to cultivate, I think my martial technique will have a great breakthrough. Zhao Feng shot out a sharp look. If I can use the sun, refined spirit, my comprehension will be more profound, and perhaps I will enter the spirit realm. Shi Yan slightly smiled and shook his head. It belongs to me. If possible, I want to borrow it to cultivate later. I don't need the sun, refined spirit energy. I only need to observe it a bit closer to find the traits of the power being released from the sun, refined spirit, and how the fiery flame burns. Is it okay? Zhao Feng laid his eyes on Shi Yan with a begging look and a longing face. Shi Yan knitted his eyebrows, hesitated a little bit, and then said, "If only that's the deal, then no problem." Zhao Feng was overjoyed and burst into laughter. What is that bunch of burning fire, after all? Li Yu couldn't help but ask. Well, just see it as a new heaven flame which comes from a 10,000-year-old volcano that was lucky enough to absorb the sun, refined spirit. Right now, I don't know how great its potential is, but if we say the heaven flames are required to have consciousness, then it should be a heaven flame, Shi Yan explained. Heaven flame. Zhao Feng, Li Yu, and even Kai looked at him with astonished faces. I have heard that there are a total of 9 heaven flames existing in this world. Adding this one would make it 10. Zhao Feng sighed. The legend about the heaven flames has been circulated in the divine great land, but people who have a heaven flame are extremely rare. Each type of heaven flames has its unique effect and its own mysterious force that makes people envy. You're very lucky to have it. Do you know what the 9 types are? Shi Yan's heart moved slightly while he pretended to ask. He had also heard rumors about the heaven flames. It was said that, in this world, there were a total of 9 types of heaven flames, and there were also rankings among them. However, be it in the quiet cloud or the endless sea, no one seemed to know what types these 9 heaven flames were. Zhao Feng and Li Yu came from the divine great land, which was the gathering center of all warriors. Warriors who knew about these 9 types of heaven flames could only come from the divine great land. Primal chaos, sacred fire, world extinguishing thunder flame, 9 serenities, soul devouring flame, immemorial demonic flame, purgatory true flame, Ean spirit ghost flame, vermilion bird true flame, ice cold flame, and vanishing corpse flame. Zhao Feng's eyes brightened while speaking. These 9 types of heaven flame are the names we already know. The mysteries of these 9 heaven flames have been spread in our divine great land. However, we still don't know what magical effects these 9 heaven flames have. Perhaps only those who possess the heaven flames can know their magical effects as well as their threats. Primal chaos, sacred fire, world extinguishing thunder flame, 9 serenities, soul devouring flame, immemorial demonic flame, purgatory true flame, Ean spirit ghost flame, vermilion bird true flame, ice cold flame, and vanishing corpse flame. Sure, Yan murmured while his eyes also slowly lit up. Primal chaos, sacred flame is ranked first, and the vanishing corpse's flame is ranked last. Each type of heaven flame seems to be able to integrate with the warriors. Once warriors can fuse with the heaven flames, they are able to obtain much more than just their power. Zhao Feng looked at him enviously. Previously, the ice-cold flame had been on Shi Yan's chest. When the earth flame entered the blood vein ring, because its burning power was too strong, and also the fact that the ice-cold flame had been trying to reduce its power, other people didn't know that the icy light column was actually the ice-cold flame, one of the 9 heaven flames. If they knew the ice-cold flame and the 9 serenities, soul-devouring flame were both here, Shi Yan wondered how surprised they would be. Shi Yan already got what he wanted to know, so he stopped asking about the heaven flames. He smiled and looked at Zhao Feng and the others. How is your harvest up there? Zhao Feng held a happy face and excitedly said, We have 4 secret treasures, which are all sacred level ones. 3 of them are of the 1st grade of the sacred level, and the remaining one is of the 3rd grade of the sacred level. Ha ha ha, this is really a good harvest. Even in the divine great land, secret treasures are very rare. Only a few important people of the powerful parties can have the 3rd grade of sacred level secret treasures. Ha ha ha. Getting to the exciting part, Zhao Feng couldn't help but burst out laughing. The secret treasures that blacksmiths created were divided into 5 levels: mortal level, mystery level, profound level, sacred level, and God level. Each level was divided into 7 grades. The first grade was the lowest, and the 7th grade was the best. As Xiao Feng got a 3rd grade sacred level secret treasure this time, no wonder he was so excited. How about you? Shi Yan looked as Qi Xiao and Kai Yi, 2 pieces of 1st grade sacred level secret treasures. Qi Xiao smiled, took out a silver dagger, raised it up and said, "I have this." Although Qi Xiao looked calm, his eyes were extremely excited. Since he could get the secret treasures in the dark, magnetic, noxious mist this time, once his mind connected with it, his strength would be greatly improved. With this sacred level secret treasure, Qi Xiao could become the strongest member of the Fire Empire, the God-blessed Empire, and the supreme warrior in the quiet cloud. Thus, he was obviously very happy. Not bad, not bad, Shi Yan constantly nodded. Where is the other one? In my hand. Kai Yi chuckled, but didn't take out the secret treasure from her storage ring. However, she also looked very satisfied. I'm quite lucky. It was unexpected that I could harvest something in the dark, magnetic, noxious mist this time. Lao Li and Lao Luan both revealed a trace of envy and complained that their luck was not good, as they couldn't harvest anything. Kid, should we leave here or not? Xiao Feng realized that there was no one left in the ancient city, and thus he was a little anxious. The others have left already, probably to go to the other exotic lands. We should also go soon. Hopefully we can harvest the God Soul. If we are too late, we will not get anything. You know the direction? Shi Yan asked in astonishment. Xiao Feng hauled out a compass which was similar to the one AI had and raised it up. The Spirit Treasure Sect has forged this stuff. It can identify the direction of any area, so we will not be lost if we have it. That's good. Shi Yan's eyes brightened while he beamed a smile. If so, we can go now. How about you? Xiao Feng looked at Qi Xiao, Kai Yi, and the others. Are you going with us? As Qi Xiao and Kai Yi got the secret treasures, their confidence had been increased significantly. Thus, they nodded readily. The 2 brothers hadn't harvested anything, but still hoped to be able to get something in another exotic land. Obviously, they would not give up midway. Therefore, they nodded, indicating that they would also go with them. Xiao Feng actually didn't want to be on the same team with them. However, in consideration for Shi Yan, he didn't say anything. He took out the compass to identify the direction, and then said to Shi Yan, "You guys follow us." The other exotic land is quite far from here. It will take a maximum of 2 days to get there. Good, Shi Yan nodded. Xiao Feng and Li Yu exchanged glances, assigning something for their warriors who kept up with them. After that, they led the way, flying out. Since the Heaven Gate had exploded, everything here restored to its normal state. Even the divine thunder which had covered outside also disappeared. Shi Yan used to worry about the divine thunder before. Anyway, his profound qi had been consumed by half, and if the divine thunder were still outside, he would have to use the power of the sky-breaking shuttle to break through. By that time, his profound qi would be drained completely, and if he encountered danger, it would be difficult for him. Although Qi Xiao and Kai Yi had a profound cultivation base, he didn't want to lay his life in someone else's hands. Therefore, he would have to spend some time first to use the demon crystals to restore his profound qi before leaving. Without the divine thunder outside, he didn't have to be that cautious. He flew up to the sky together with Qi Xiao and the others, catching up with Xiao Feng's group. Half a day later, Xiao Feng's group encountered a flock of level 6 beasts above a mountain. However, it didn't take them long to wipe those beasts out. Since the warriors in Xiao Feng's team had quite low realms, their profound qi had been consumed significantly. Xiao Feng had to stop to let them rest for a while, using the demon crystals to restore their profound qi. Shi Yan took this opportunity to haul out the demon crystals inside his storage ring and restored his profound qi together with Qi Xiao, Zhusu, and Zwisher. The three people of Qi Zhao's group were quite poor before. With Shi Yan's support, they could now have enough demon crystals to restore their profound qi. These three people had drained a lot of their profound qi on the way, and were in a situation where they had no more demon crystals. However, after the fight in the ancient city, they had got some demon crystals from some dead warriors, and Shi Yan had also given them some more. Therefore, they now had enough demon crystals to use. Entering the sky realm, Shi Yan's ancient profound qi tree seemed to grow double or so. As he was restoring the profound qi, his progress speed was apparently slowed down. When he and Qi Xiao restored the profound qi, it would take quite a lot of time. Even after the warriors in Zhao Feng's team had fully restored their profound qi, Shi Yan and Qi Xiao were still using demon crystals to restore their profound qi. As Zhao Feng knew that he would rely on Shi Yan a lot in the future, he didn't urge him to hurry. Instead, together with Li Yu and the others, he waited for Shi Yan and Qi Xiao to stand up and then continued the trip, going to another strange land. Their trip was much easier as they didn't encounter any beast this time. 2 days later, they finally arrived at another exotic land. The outskirts of this exotic land had thick, gray smoke hovering. However, there was no divine thunder inside that smoke to rock Shi Yan's mind. Following Zhao Feng's team, Shi Yan, Qi Xiao, Kai, and the others also descended in this strange land. Chapter 410, The Abnormal Underground. Chapter 410, The Abnormal Underground. This was a small island with ancient green trees and blossoming flowers everywhere. The aura of heaven and earth was vibrant on this island. Different from other regions in the dark, magnetic, noxious mist, the periphery of this island was full of smoke hovering around, but there was none inside the island. All that people could see was towering old trees, which were incredibly dense, covering the sky. Like a paradise, this place didn't have any beasts either, making them relax and feel that cultivating here would be very comfortable. Shi Yan's team went through the fog and landed. Afterward, they quietly released their soul consciousness and then immediately realized that their soul consciousness wasn't restricted. When their soul consciousness spread out, various dynamic living activities in the island could instantly be reflected in their sea of consciousness. Nobody's here. Zhao Feng had a cultivation base of third sky of Sky Realm. He released his soul consciousness, which had soon enveloped the entire island. But there was no trace of any life. A place with dense heaven and earth aura and verdant blossoming flowers like this should not be this empty. The warriors from the divine great land were certain that there was a part of warriors who had come here to find the existence of the God Soul. Those should have spread out their soul consciousness to find the abnormality on the island, as well as possible opportunities. Qi Xiao, Li Yu, and others were wearing doubtful faces. They also released their soul consciousness, but got nothing either. It's not right, Shi Yan frowned. There must be something strange here. Otherwise, some warriors should be here. If we can come here, the others certainly can too. If we can spread out our soul consciousness, the other warriors also can. So basically, when we land here, we should immediately be detected. It's impossible that no soul consciousnesses are exploring the area. Everyone should be careful. I don't think this place is normal. Perhaps it's even more dangerous than the previous exotic land. Zhao Feng's face darkened. Everyone gather in one place. Don't scatter. We're going to the center of the island together and explore it a bit. Everyone nodded and gathered. Towering trees expanded all over the island. With a quick look, this island was totally covered with dense forests. Those old trees would limit the vision of those walking in these forests, and they would not be able to see far. Shi Yan's team was slowly moving deeper into the island. They were not anxious, just paying attention to everything in the surroundings. As long as there were any signs of trouble, they would carefully observe them. Thump, thump. Dull sounds resonated from under their feet. A vibration came up from deep under the ground of the island. The vibration frequency was slow, but it seemed to rush straight to the human mind. Thump, thump, thump. Everyone's heart gradually beat faster. The tremor from underneath the island seemed to be able to drive the heartbeat, making the hearts of those people pound faster and faster. What? Zhao Feng's eyes glinted with a bunch of strange light. Do you guys all feel it? Everyone's faces were solemn. They all nodded. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and said with a grave face, I think there exists something abnormal underground. We should be careful. If our heartbeat reaches a certain speed, we'll probably get crazy. The faster the heartbeat is, the more influence it will have on our judgment and reasoning, making us too nervous and dominating our emotions. After pausing for a while, Zhao Feng looked at Shi Yan and said, Especially you. Shi Yan was a little embarrassed as he gently nodded. Don't worry. I had reasons to have lost my mind before. I will not suddenly lose my mind again. The impact I have this time should be consistent with yours. Who has a soul consciousness that can penetrate into the subterranean ground? Li Yu hesitated for a while before her face slightly changed, as she seemed to realize something. My soul consciousness cannot even go 10 zhongs underground. There seem to be some barriers inside the ground of this island that prevent the soul consciousness from penetrating. After hearing what she said, everyone else immediately sent their soul consciousness into the ground to verify her words. Shi Yan's soul consciousness also suddenly dashed to the ground. However, when it reached the depth of only 5 zhongs, it encountered obstacles. With the barrier that prevented soul consciousness from penetrating underground, they seemed to have countless ropes tying their soul consciousness up. The deeper it drilled down, the stronger the pulling force was. After reluctantly spreading out to the depth of 6 zhongs, Shi Yan had released all of his soul consciousness and couldn't penetrate even a centimeter further. I can affirm that, Zhao Feng solemnly looked at everyone and said, If nothing unexpected happens, I'm sure this island's abnormality should be in the center of the earth. So, we should look for the entrance to go there. I think that if there are other warriors, and they should be in the center of the earth. If they can go down there, we also can. Well, there must be an entrance. While talking, Kai Yi took out a sapphire bangle from her storage ring. As soon as the bangle emerged in her palm, it immediately shed 3 columns of azure light, which penetrated straight down into the ground, piercing the earth's barriers all the way downward. Kai Yi slowly closed her eyes while tightly holding the bangle. When the 3 light columns struck straight to the ground, Kai knitted her eyebrows tightly as she seemed to sense something serious. Half a day later, her graceful body suddenly trembled. She then opened her eyes and said with surprise, Somebody is fighting down there. Everyone was shocked. This sapphire bangle is from an exotic land. During the past 2 days, I've sensed carefully and realized that my sapphire bangle could detect different energies. When these 3 azure light columns penetrated the earth earlier, they realized that at least 10 different kinds of energy are competing. It's obvious that there must be a variety of warriors engaging in the battle. Kai Yi held the sapphire bangle while calmly explaining to everyone, those people underground should have realized something already. Otherwise, they would not have been fighting now. Zhao Feng grinned. It seems that those people have met some sacred-level secret treasures, and they are fighting each other only because of those treasures. Our guess is right. The strange things of this island are all underground. Look for the entrance. Shi Yan cracked a smile out of the corner of his mouth, separate to seek. It looks like there's no danger in this island. Everyone scatter and shout when you find it. Although this island is not small, if we spread out, it'll be easy to find the entrance. Scatter! Zhao Feng instructed his people from the divine, radiant cult, and then flew away first towards the center of the island. Kai Yi, Qi Shao, The two brothers also spread out as per Shi Yan's order. Shi Yan didn't move yet, just standing still on his spot. 7 people from the divine radiant cult, Kai Yi, Qi Shao, and the two brothers had divided into 3 directions. With many people like this, it should not take long to search the entire island. Even if he didn't put any effort into this, he still could enjoy the result. That was why he was this leisurely. Zhusu and Zhushi were about to scatter to search for the entrance. But as they saw him stay back, they were stunned for a moment and also stood still. Grandfather Zhua, after this thing, you should return to the Merchant Union. Shi Yan contemplated for a while and then suddenly said with a solemn face, Don't get back to the Endless Sea. Although I am not sure how the current situation is right now, I'm certain that the Endless Sea is very chaotic. Since I left the Endless Sea, demon dwellers of the 4th demon area should have massively invaded the Endless Sea. It has been such a long time, so I think perhaps the dark dwellers and the demon dwellers have come to the Endless Sea together. If you take that way, you will obviously encounter dangers. Zhusu's face changed slightly. He said with fright, Demon dwellers? Dark dwellers? Shi Yan nodded. Isn't it said that these 2 alien races have disappeared from the Grace mainland? In the Merchant Union, there are some ancient legends about the existence of these 2 races. However, we have never seen any of them. Have they actually come to the Endless Sea? They are in the Endless Sea now. Yes, everyone living there is in tragedy. These 2 races have killed a large number of warriors. The Kiara Sea and the Hangluo Sea are now covered with corpses. Many civilians have also been affected. It's impossible to tell everything in just a few words. Talking about the Endless Sea, Shi Yan also felt very depressed. Since he left the Endless Sea, he knew that the Great Race War would break out. Chao Qiu Dao of the Chao family and Yang Yi Tian of the Martial Spirit Palace were 2 powerful persons. If the 2 of them united, together with other forces in the Endless Sea, it would be hard to say who would win given the situation that the demon dwellers and the dark dwellers didn't come to the Endless Sea at the same time. There was one thing he was sure, that this war would not easily end soon. After the Yang family hid in the 4th demon area, there was no news from them. Although Qi Yan said that Yang Tian Emperor was dead, Shi Yan always felt that the said person could not easily die like this. Yang Tian Emperor was the most famous, outstanding warrior in the Endless Sea, who was also extremely wise. He should have some support. When the Yangs were there and fighting in the Endless Sea, he had to go back. The more chaotic the area was, the easier it was for him to enhance his cultivation through the mysterious martial spirit. He had reached the sky realm, so he needed a lot of profound qi to make a breakthrough. Since the Endless Sea was this chaotic, this was apparently a suitable place for him to cultivate. Linda and Xia Xingchuan were dead. Shi Yan was now more confident than before when he faced the Devil Emperor Qi Yan. With the emergence of Bo Sun, Di Shan and Yu Rou had to betray him because of their race. For Shi Yan, this was a great humiliation. He came to the dark, magnetic, noxious mist to kill and get back what belonged to him. Chapter 411 Sentimental Selection. Chapter 411 Sentimental Selection. If that place is so dangerous, why do you still want to go back? Zhushi was puzzled. She gently asked, Shi Yan, you can temporarily return to the quiet cloud. I think if your family knows that you have broken through the sky realm, they will be delighted. If you go back to the Merchant Union, the Shi family and the Zhua family will unite and perhaps can dominate the God-blessed empire and the Fire Empire. The quiet cloud is too small, Shi Yan shook his head. If the time comes, I will let you go to the Merchant Union so that you can find a more suitable place to cultivate. Found it. Lao Li screamed from a distance. Shi Yan was startled. He then said to Zhusu and Zhushi, let's not talk about this now. Let's go over there to see what mystery lies in the underground of this island. When Shi Yan, Zhuasu, and Zhuashi came, Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and Kai Yi already stood in front of a dark hole. Some other warriors of the divine, radiant cult quickly rushed over as well. This was not a big hole where cold aura flew out continuously. Standing in front of the cave entrance, they could sense fresh breeze blowing onto their bodies, making them feel a bone-deep chill and give them a feeling that some kind of danger was hiding inside that cave, which terrified everyone. Not long after that, Liu also arrived with the remaining disciples of the divine radiant cult, looking at the entrance of the cave. This is it. Zhao Feng cocked his head to look a bit and then shook it. I can't see anything. Perhaps there's also something blocking the soul consciousness. While they were talking, a silhouette suddenly rushed out and shouted, "Run!" An arm-sized rattan, like a ghost hand, thrust out from the cave and trapped that man instantly. As it had wound around the man, it released a strong suction force all of a sudden. The man's blood flowed towards the rattan, and in just a short amount of time, all of his blood had completely been drained. Everyone's eyes were wide opened. That man died even before he could have exited the cave. Everyone's face was frozen. Swisher and Grandpa Zhua, don't get in. Find a safe place outside and wait. Sure, Yin acted decisively and told the two of them hurriedly, "It's very dangerous in there. You will not be able to help with anything, but you can get us bothered." His words were rude. Zhuasu's eyes flashed a trace of sadness, as he knew his cultivation base was too low. He reluctantly nodded, held Zhuashir's hand, and said, "Zhuashir, don't go there. Shi Yan's right. We really can't help with anything." Although Zhuashir wanted to try, she still followed her grandfather's advice. She looked at Qi Xiao and Shi Yan worriedly and said with a low tone, "You should be careful. It's strange in there. If it's too dangerous, come out immediately. Don't take anything. Only if you're alive can you enjoy the benefits. If you're dead, then there is nothing left." "Okay." Shi Yan smiled and nodded. "I know. I will consider staying alive as the primary task. If I realize that it's something I can't handle, I will come out immediately. Can we go now?" Zhao Feng was excited, rubbing his hands, and said with a smile, "The more dangerous the place is, the more chances that secret treasures will be there. Everyone should be careful. Don't let the rattan entangle you." Everyone nodded with solemn faces. Zhao Feng didn't say anything else, laughed out loud, and jumped down first. Liu and the others from the divine, radiant cult didn't hesitate either. They all followed Zhao Feng, plunging down into the cave. Qi Xiao and the two brothers also followed him. "You leave first." Shi Yan looked at Zhuasu and Zhuashir. The two of them were a little hesitant, but didn't say anything. They then left the cave and disappeared into the jungle. Only Kai Yi and Shi Yan were left. Kai Yi didn't hurry to jump down, but looked at him with a longing face. She was wearing green clothes, her face was white, and her eyes were like they could speak. She kept looking at Shi Yan with a begging attitude. "Are you anxious?" Shi Yan calmly asked. "After the battle in the previous exotic land, I think that you have trusted me." Kai Yi said with a serious face, "I'm different from Aya. I will not be shameless like her. I know that you have helped us a lot all the way. I will not return evil for good, I promise." "This reason is not enough," said Shi Yan with an emotionless face. "It is certainly dangerous down there. As my soul has your formation technique, I can't utilize all of my power." Kai Yi angrily stared at him. "What's wrong with you? I have begged you like this. Although I did something bad in that lake, didn't you do the same?" Kai Yi's face reddened as she was shy. Shi Yan sneered and said, "Yes, I also did something wrong in that place. But it was just because I saw you wanted to harm me. I was so angry that I did it. If you guys didn't do that to me, I definitely would not have done anything." Speaking of the charming scene at the bottom of that lake, he couldn't help but remember Kai Yi's beautiful body. while his eyes also changed slightly, becoming burning. Under Shi Yan's scrutinizing eyes, Kai was very embarrassed. She fiercely stared at him and growled, "Leave it then." After talking, she was about to jump down into the cave. "All right, let me remove it for you," blurted Shi Yan. Kai's beautiful eyes suddenly brightened. She halted, burst into laughter, turned around to look at him, and gently said, "I knew it. It's not like you don't have any feelings. You're actually very nice. As long as the others have good intentions toward you, you will not harm them. Otherwise, you would not care for Zwasher that much." After Zwasher appeared, Shi Yan always cared for Zwisu and Zwisher on the way. Kai secretly observed him for a while, then realized that the care didn't come from love. It was just because they knew each other before. He didn't mind encountering dangers, and instead always helped the two of them. After a long time of observation, Kai finally realized that Shi Yan was not cold and ruthless as she'd imagined. She was actually envious of Zwasher, as Shi Yan cared for her a lot. After understanding more about Shi Yan, her hatred towards Shi Yan gradually faded, and moreover, she wanted to have a good relationship with him. "If I was really ruthless, you and the two brothers should already be dead." Shi Yan slightly harumphed and said, "If I didn't save you and help you go to the corpse bridge, you think that you could have survived. I know you are kind." Kai smiled. She looked thrilled and fresh as her mood was good. "Can you remove the formation technique for me now?" Shi Yan nodded, closed his eyes, and used a soul connection to enter her mind to remove the formation technique that he had left in her soul before. Kai suddenly let out a sigh of relief, grinned like flowers blossoming, which could mesmerize other people. She nodded to Shi Yan and said with a low voice, "You aren't bad indeed. If I knew about it soon, I definitely would not have done it in that lake. However, you already saw my body, and I will remember it carefully." After talking, Kai moved to the cave, released a colorful band of 5-colored light, and slowly went into the cave. Shi Yan was bewildered, quietly watching Kai's graceful body slowly diving. Shi Yan shook his head after a long while, grinned, and went into the cave. In the dark cave, Shi Yan could only see the colorful light from Kai's body. He accelerated and appeared next to her in only 3 seconds. This cave seemed to be very deep. The two of them had been plunging down for a while, but still didn't see anything. No light came up from the cave either. "Shi Yan, honestly, do you like Zwisher? Although that girl doesn't have a high realm, she's very charming. It's normal if you like her." While flying down, Kai suddenly turned her head to look at him and asked curiously, "Why does it matter to you?" Shi Yan harumphed and said, "You should care about yourself. Don't let the Rattan here shackle you. If it happens, I'll just ignore you." "You will not," Kai said with a smile. After the formation technique in her mind was removed, she seemed to have solved the knot. She seemed to no longer hate Shi Yan. Her face glowed. "Although you look cold, you are not like that. I know it. Did you fall in love with me?" Shi Yan pouted and coldly looked at her. "Although I did touch you, I will not take responsibility. Don't think I will love you because of this. I'm very ruthless. I'm only interested in your body, not you. I don't like a woman who is too cunning. Right. Perhaps I love you already." Kai was half real, half joking, but she was not angry either. "I have heard that if a man is interested in a woman's body, then loving her is not too distant a thing. Anyway, you have seen and touched my body already. Well, you can just forget that girls was sure and be my man. If you want to flirt with me, you should consider the time and situation." Shi Yan rubbed his nose and said reluctantly, "If I knew this, I would not have removed the formation technique for you. I just realized that since your mind is free from the formation technique, your brain seems to have had some problem. If you want to die, I don't care. But don't talk nonsense to me. It affects my vigilance. Such an emotionless guy. Kai glanced at him with enchanting eyes. The two of them flew down shoulder to shoulder. Her body emitted a flashing light. Shi Yan could see every change on her face, smell the fragrance from her body, and hear her sulky words. He calmed down again and felt that this subterranean trip didn't seem so terrible as he'd imagined. Chapter 412 Swallow Hollow Spirits. Chapter 412 Swallow Hollow Spirits. Shi Yan and Kai had plunged down side by side for around 10 minutes before they finally got to the center of the underground. This place looked like a fantasy land, with a huge swamp area in the center. Many bizarre trees like rattan grew in the swamp. Those trees were strangely humanoid. Each of them was 10 meters high, slowly moving in the swamp. Gloomy ghosts were wandering around, scattering out cold, evil thoughts which could affect people's sea of consciousness. These gloomy ghosts emitted green light while the swamp water was dark green, making the swamp look more eccentric and gloomy like a world of ghosts. More than 10 Nirvana Realm and Sky Realm warriors were scattered in all directions around the swamp. Everyone's faces were solemn while fighting with the gloomy ghosts and the humanoid monsters. When a warrior died, his blood would be sucked completely, and his immortal soul would quickly be assimilated by the gloomy ghost. It then also turned him into a ghost, staring at other warriors with human auras and releasing terrible spirit fluctuations. In the swamp, warriors were battling everywhere. Among them was Zhao Feng's team, who were 10 meters away from Shi Yan's left side. They were fighting against those rattan trees and the ghosts, their faces looking quite serious. After arriving, Shi Yan and Kai didn't have time to stop, as they immediately came to aid Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others. Shi Yan, be careful. Those rattan monsters and the hollow spirits are extremely tough to deal with. Swords and a variety of attacking forces are ineffective on these hollow spirits. Only soul attacks with intent domains can destroy them. These rattan monsters are some sort of strange creature, an organic combination of flora and fauna. They can absorb human blood and use it to grow their power. Don't let them wrap you. Seeing Shi Yan coming over, Zhao Feng immediately raised his voice to remind him to pay attention to those rattan monsters and hollow spirits. You can use your force to bombard the rattan monsters. These things are malicious. They have sharp thorns. Once they pierce through someone's body, they will target the blood vessels and suck all of the warrior's blood. At any cost, don't let them wrap you. As for the hollow spirits, they have a terrible soul corrosion force. Once the hollow spirits drill into your sea of consciousness, they will control it. Qi Xiao was dealing with a rattan tree. His entire body was filled with thick smoke, and he seemed to flash on and off in that smoke. Once the rattan tree came, he would hide inside the smoke, making the rattan tree unable to identify his location. The two brothers Lao Luin and Lao Li were fighting against hollow spirits, and thus didn't have spare time to remind Shi Yan. Now, when Shi Yan came, they had a little bit free time to tell him about the strengths and weaknesses of the rattan trees and hollow spirits. 3 rattan monsters had their roots extended into the swamp, but they still could move dexterously as if they had legs. 10 hollow spirits shrouded Zhao Feng, Liu, and the others, as they seemed to understand the rules. They launched attacks together, releasing violent soul vibrations towards the divine, radiant cult's disciples and Qi Xiao. Facing these soul fluctuations, Zhao Feng and Liu could deal with them easily. However, the two brothers were strained in fighting them. The two of them wore strange faces and kept moving backward while guarding their sea of consciousness, as they were afraid that these hollow spirits would occupy their minds. After observing everything for a while, Shi Yan realized that there were many warriors with empty eyes and green pupils. They were attacking other warriors together with the hollow spirits. Those people were obviously warriors as well. However, Their sea of consciousnesses seemed to have been occupied by the hollow spirits, thus getting completely under the hollow spirits' control. They had no sense of their own, and just automatically attacked the other warriors. After coming here, Shi Yan and Kai Yi joined the battle immediately together with Qi Xiao, Zhao Feng, and the others, attacking the Rot-Ten monsters. With a quick glance, Shi Yan realized that there were many warriors in the swamp fighting the Rot-Ten monsters and the hollow spirits. With a rough count, he guessed there were at least 7 or 8 teams of warriors. It seemed that there was also fighting in the place further than here. However, because of the far distance, Shi Yan could hardly see clearly. Before coming to this island, his profound qi had been recovered through the demon crystals. The ice-cold flame and the earth flame had also restored 7 or 8 parts of their power. They were now hibernating in the blood vein ring and could always correspond to his call to come out. With many battles like this, he was not worried, easily dealing with those Rot-Ten trees as well as observing the situation around. "Watch out!" Kai Yi shouted to Shi Yan. "Behind you!" A shinning green hollow spirit turned into a green light column that passed by Lao Li and rushed toward Shi Yan. This hollow spirit was formed from a soul, didn't have a body, and just some extremely violent soul fluctuations. Evil thoughts pierced into his mind first, and the hollow spirit immediately caught up with it, directly flying straight into his sea of consciousness. Before Shi Yan could turn his head, he was immediately aware of his brain tingling, as if countless steel needles piercing through his head, becoming extremely painful. He had been just negligent for one moment, and that had given the hollow spirit the opportunity to penetrate his mind. The green light suddenly disappeared into his head. The complexions of Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others changed dramatically. Kai Yi was also worried. She shouted, "Shi Yan, quiet down your mind. Don't let the hollow spirit control it." With this kind of hollow spirit's penetration, it was difficult for other people to help him. Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others could only stare at the hollow spirit jumping into his sea of consciousness. Each warrior's sea of consciousness was the place where the host soul dwelled. The penetration of others' soul consciousness into someone's sea of consciousness would make it chaotic and raging, which helped the hollow spirit accelerate its control. Therefore, seeing the hollow spirit jumping into Shi Yan's sea of consciousness, Zhao Feng and the others didn't dare to send their soul consciousness into it, because they knew that once they did it, it would make Shi Yan even more tempestuous. To deal with the hollow spirit, he could only rely on his own spirit as well as his mighty will. If he couldn't stop the hollow spirit from controlling his mind, he would become its slave forever and could never escape. Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, Kai Yi, and others, who were fighting with Rot-Ten trees, were still distracted by looking at him, as they didn't know whether he could resist the hollow spirit or not. Inside Shi Yan's sea of consciousness, the hollow spirit's invasion caused a mutation of his sea of consciousness. Countless streams of soul consciousness in his sea of consciousness seemed to be unable to rise. A kind of intimidating soul fluctuation spread out from the hollow spirit, filling his entire sea of consciousness. His eyes suddenly became dazed and empty. When Qi Xiao and the others saw Shi Yan's empty eyes, they felt chilled in their hearts and knew that things were going bad. Kai Yi's face changed as she showed a trace of worry. She shouted again, "Protect your mind!" However, at this moment, Shi Yan suddenly grinned and said, "No worries. I'm fine." The 5 devils that hid in his sea of consciousness suddenly turned into 5 huge, hollow shadows attacking that hollow spirit. The hollow spirit panicked and did not dare to stay in his sea of consciousness, quickly flying out of his mind. The 5 devils swarmed over, entangling that hollow spirit. They opened their mouths full of fangs to devour that hollow spirit. Inside his sea of consciousness, his host soul also opened the 3rd eye, and the evil aura of the 9 Serenities' soul-devouring flame spread out as well. Just in a moment, he had already regained his consciousness, not getting affected by the impact of that hollow spirit. This terrified Zhao Feng and the others. "Leave these hollow spirits to me." When everyone was still horrified, Shi Yan wore a surprised face and then excitedly said, "You guys don't need to deal with the hollow spirits. I alone am enough." Oh. After the 5 devils swallowed the hollow spirit, Shi Yan was clearly aware that they had become stronger and were still craving for more. The hollow spirits seemed to be great nutrients to enhance their power. With this finding, Shi Yan removed his spirit defense and stood still, waiting for the hollow spirits to fall into his trap. The hollow spirits' wisdom was not high, and basically they couldn't comprehend a lesson for themselves. Seeing Shi Yan standing without any defense, all hollow spirits turned into many green light beams, directly storming into his sea of consciousness. In his sea of consciousness right now, the 5 devils were floating around as well as his host soul, which was releasing an earth-destructive aura. Any hollow spirit that went into his sea of consciousness desperately wanted to flee outside as fast as possible under the impact of the 5 devils and his host soul. During that time, the 5 devils would scatter and search for hollow spirits inside his sea of consciousness. When a hollow spirit touched the 5 devils, it was like they got stuck to the rubber glue, not being able to move at all. The 5 devils were extremely excited, clinging to those hollow spirits and engulfing all of them. When a hollow spirit would be about to escape his sea of consciousness, the 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame would release an evil light, and that hollow spirit would be immediately annihilated and disappear without leaving any trace. The 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame could destroy all evil creatures. The hollow spirits that had entered Shi Yan's sea of consciousness simply looked for death. None of them could escape. Seeing those hollow spirits drill into Shi Yan's sea of consciousness, but him still smiling and leisurely looking around here and there to look for more hollow spirits, Zhao Feng and the others were speechless. They shook their heads and let out a sigh. They were terrified because of Shi Yan's strange power. In a short moment, a group of hollow spirits wandering around Zhao Feng and the others were all swallowed by the 5 devils in Shi Yan's sea of consciousness. After absorbing the hollow spirits, the 5 devils grew significantly. Their images were getting clearer, and even their faces became livelier. But Shi Yan was not satisfied yet. With such delicious snacks in front of him, it would be a waste if he didn't enjoy. "I'll go to find more hollow spirits. You guys should be careful dealing with those rattan trees." After informing Kai Yi, Shi Yan burst into laughter and strolled to the swamp. When the hollow spirits, which were fighting with the other warriors, realized that Shi Yan's sea of consciousness had no defense, all of them rushed to him and penetrated his sea of consciousness. Those hollow spirits that fell into his sea of consciousness had no way to come out, becoming nutrients for the 5 devils. The 5 devils in his sea of consciousness had engulfed all of them. Those warriors quickly realized the abnormal situation, and thus they all had a terrified look. They couldn't help but take a glance at Shi Yan secretly. "Shi Yan, I'm Yi Zhongfeng. Come here and give me a hand." A familiar voice arose from the left, behind a group of rattan monsters, sounding a little anxious. Chapter 413. The Heart with a Grudge. Chapter 413. The Heart with a Grudge. 7 rattan monsters stood in a semicircle, surrounding a group of miserable-looking warriors. 12 hollow spirits were floating above them, releasing a terrifying spiritual power which made this group of warriors unable to speak and find it difficult to resist. Shi Yan originally didn't pay attention to this place. As long as he saw hollow spirits on the way, he would open his sea of consciousness without any guard, so that these hollow spirits would take the initiative to fall into his trap. Then the 5 devils would devour them all. In the rattan monster siege, a familiar voice arose, startling him. He then looked towards that direction more attentively. "Yi Zhongfeng." "Sure, Yen suddenly shouted while his eyes brightened. "Is it you?" "It's me." Yi Zhongfeng cried out loud. "Come here quickly. I can see that you seem to be able to deal with the hollow spirits. Come here and help me out in dealing with these hollow spirits." After identifying that the voice belonged to Yi Zhongfeng, Shi Yan didn't hesitate, turning into a beam of light and dashing towards his location. A flow of thick, bone-chilling aura overflowed from his body, and the dense fog scattered. The surrounding Rot-Tan monsters didn't dare to act rashly. When the thick, cold fog barged in, those Rot-Tan trees wrapping around him were frozen, and they could no longer move freely. The icy air of the ice-cold flame seemed to be able to freeze everything, and Rot-Tan monsters were no exception. Those Rot-Tan monsters also seemed to know that Shi Yan was not easy to deal with. All of the Rot-Tan trees on the way halted when they recognized the ice-cold flame's aura and didn't continue to pursue him. A cluster of burning fires ignited from the middle of the 7 Rot-Tan monsters. The scorching fire seemed to come from the purgatory true flame, seemingly wanting to burn everything in this world into ashes. The purgatory true flame. Even though he was still a bit far from that place, with the ice-cold flame, he already knew that Yi Zhongfeng was one of those warriors. The purgatory true flame came from Yi Zhongfeng. Unless he was dead, it would never leave his body. If the purgatory true flame appeared, Yi Zhongfeng was certainly there. Many clusters of the purgatory true flame looked like floating clouds in the air. Its heat was extremely horrifying, and the Rot-Tan monsters around didn't dare to reach out, not even a single branch. Shi Yan observed everything for a moment and then realized that there were a lot of ashes in those clusters of burning flames. With a closer look, he found that they were the ashes from the Rot-Tan trees which had been burned. The fact that those Rot-Tan monsters were oppressed might be because they already had experienced the purgatory true flame. Although this purgatory true flame was powerful, hollow spirits didn't seem to be scared. This kind of a strange spirit creature aggressively moved in the burning flames, like fireflies shining everywhere, even covering the purgatory true flame's fires. Inside the circle formed by the Rot-Tan monsters, there was a group of 4, including 3 males and 1 female. They were all very young. The men were handsome and charming, while the woman was both beautiful and graceful. Yi Zhongfeng was sitting cross-legged on the ground with a solemn face. His body released a plume of flames from time to time. The flames flew out and instantly gathered with the fire clouds in the sky, and thus those Rot-Tan monsters didn't dare to act recklessly. The other 2 men were standing in front of Yi Zhongfeng on his left and on his right respectively. They were tall and might, with long beards and charming look. These 2 people showed their cold eyes and didn't say anything as they seemed to be resisting the soul attack from the hollow spirits. Behind Yi Zhongfeng stood a beautiful woman with a graceful body, wearing a leather skirt. She was holding a dragon bone whip while looking around with caution. Lin Yiqi was not in this group. Actually, Yi Zhongfeng alone was enough to deal with these Rot-Tan monsters. The reason they were facing danger was because of the lingering hollow spirits. After a long time since they last met, Yi Zhongfeng had already entered the first sky of Nirvana realm. The other 3 people were at the 2nd or the 3rd sky of Nirvana realm. This team was not too powerful in the swamp, and even weaker than Zhao Feng's and Shi Yan's teams. As most of them were at the Nirvana realm, they seemed to be strained while dealing with the hollow spirits. At the Nirvana realm, the warrior's sea of consciousness was just newly formed. Thus, the host soul was limited and hardly utilized powerful soul attacks or defense. That was why they had difficulty in fighting with hollow spirits. "Come here and give me a hand quickly." Seeing Shi Yan stop outside of the Rot-Tan monsters area, Yi Zhongfeng's eyes brightened while he anxiously said, "Boy, help me deal with these hollow spirits. I don't need you for other things. I can cope with the Rot-Tan monsters." Sure, Yen still didn't rush over. His entire body emitted a cold, gloomy aura. He knitted his eyebrows, looking at the others, and asked, "Where is Xia Xinyan?" Shi Yan's face darkened. He could see something bad had happened as Yi Zhangfeng's face suddenly changed. "Help me deal with these hollow spirits. I will tell you about Xia Xinyan later." Yi Zhangfeng frowned, shook his head, and looked at Shi Yan with a guilty face. "Okay." Shi Yan walked over to those 4 people with a somber face. Seeing him coming closer, the 7 Rot-10 monsters could feel that terrifying cold aura but didn't dare to attack him. On one side was the purgatory true flame that Yi Zhangfeng releasing, and the other side was the ice-cold flame's aura from Shi Yan's body. Although these 2 heaven flames didn't release their real power, their auras were enough to frighten the Rot-10 monsters and make them stay away. The 7 Rot-10 monsters moved away, giving him the way. This incident also terrified the other 3 people of Yi Zhangfeng's group. Those 3 people were guarding against the Rot-10 monsters and taking precautions against Shi Yan at the same time. They looked extremely careful and curious. The beautiful woman had a tanned skin and an appealing body, wearing a nice leather skirt. She raised her eyebrows, staring at Shi Yan while speaking to Yi Zhangfeng. "Zhangfeng, who is this? Is he a member of your spirit treasure sect? Why haven't I seen him before?" "He's a friend who I've met in the Endless Sea," explained Yi Zhangfeng. "The Endless Sea." That woman laughed with disdain and then swung the dragon bone whip in her hand. A thunder-like explosion reverberated in the void. Each nag of the dragon bone whip seemed to contain a mysterious power that could shake the heaven and earth. She was the one with the highest realm among the 4 of them, which was the 3rd sky of Nirvana realm. With her dragon bone whip, her aura was terrifying. "Beauty, if you can cope with the hollow spirits, I will not take action." Shi Yan came over, curled his lips, and coldly looked at her with ridicule. "That's right. The Endless Sea is just a small place, and of course, far lower than your divine great land. I think that the young talents of the divine great land can deal with this kind of hollow spirits much better than me. I will not dare to offer to teach a fish to swim." After talking, he turned to Yi Zhangfeng, quickly sat down without looking at that woman anymore. He stared at Yi Zhangfeng with a dark face and asked, "How is Xia Xinyan?" "I don't see you have the guts either." The woman's face became cold while she harumphed. "If Lin Yiqi were here, we would not have needed you. With Lin Yiqi's soul defensive secret treasure, these hollow spirits wouldn't even dare to come close." Shi Yan basically didn't care about that woman. He calmly looked at Yi Zhangfeng. "She's fine. She has probably reached the Nirvana realm. This can't be told in just a few words. Help me deal with these hollow spirits first." Yi Zhangfeng begged to him again. While talking, Yi Zhangfeng looked at that appealing woman with a wry smile. "Lin Ji, don't bring more troubles to me. You can deal with those hollow spirits. As my sea of consciousness has just formed, I cannot resist the soul attack of the hollow spirits. Can you please talk less?" The woman's name was Lin Ji. She threw a glance at Shi Yan and stopped babbling. "She's Lin Ji, Lin Yiqi's sister. She's like that, not easy to talk to at the beginning. But after getting more familiar, she's not that bad." Yi Zhangfeng forced a smile, explained to Shi Yan, and then urged, "Be quick. These hollow spirits seem to be interested in my appearance now. As my realm is the lowest, I can barely resist them." Shi Yan frowned, coldly looked at him, hesitated for a moment, and said, "You will have to tell me everything later." After talking, he focused his mind to scatter his consciousness, exposing his sea of consciousness without any defense. He even walked towards the area where the hollow spirits were gathering. A hollow spirit which flew next to the Rot-10 monsters suddenly considered him its delicious food and then rushed towards him without hesitation. 12 hollow spirits, which were like giant fireflies, turned into green lights and went into his sea of consciousness one by one. After watching all of those hollow spirits enter his sea of consciousness, Yi Zhongfeng's group looked at him curiously. Lin Ji was not an exception. The woman surprisingly stared at Shi Yan. Other people from Yi Zhongfeng's group also looked at him with curiosity. When Shi Yan had come to the swamp earlier, other people had all paid attention to the Rot-Tan monsters, except for Yi Zhongfeng with the Purgatory True Flame. He had quietly been focusing on the area ahead, and had surprisingly seen Shi Yan let the hollow spirits storm into his sea of consciousness one after another, while still being safe and continuing to walk to the hollow spirits' gathering area. When Yi Zhongfeng recognized his acquaintance, he had been overjoyed as he had found someone to help him. The other three people, Lin Ji and the other two, didn't believe it because they didn't see Shi Yan still safe and sound walking around in the swamp after absorbing hollow spirits. They just thought that Yi Zhongfeng wanted to encourage them. Right now, Shi Yan was walking over while opening his sea of consciousness at the same time. This made Lin Ji and the other two people startled, as they knew that Yi Zhongfeng was not joking. The people of Lin Ji's group understood well how dangerous the hollow spirits were. They knew that only some specific types of soul defensive secret treasure could prevent the hollow spirits' soul attacks from harming the users. However, Shi Yan, on the contrary, let the hollow spirits go into his sea of consciousness. This abnormality went beyond their imagination. This friend of mine is not like the other warriors of the Endless Sea. He's even stronger than the warriors of the Divine Great Land. While Shi Yan was dealing with the hollow spirits, Yi Zhongfeng talked to the others with a low tone and a solemn face. Last time when we parted, he was only at the Earth Realm. In just 1 year I have reached the Nirvana Realm, and I assume that it was a fast progress. Unexpectedly, he has entered the Sky Realm. This is unbelievable indeed. Lin Ji and the other two were dumbstruck. Chapter 414. Slap on the Face. Chapter 414. Slap on the Face. Zhongfeng, are you kidding me? Lin Ji was startled and suddenly screamed out loud. She constantly shook her head, not knowing if she should laugh or cry. Have you ever heard anyone reach the Sky Realm from the Earth Realm in only 1 year? She looked at the other two men and asked, Luo Xiao, Luo Meng, have you ever heard of it? The two men shook their heads. Do you believe it? Lin Ji asked again. Luo Xiao and Luo Meng showed a hesitant face. They frowned but didn't reply. Yi Zhongfeng's face darkened as he unhappily said, Lin Ji Jie, you don't believe me? You doubt that I'm lying and that I'm exaggerating his ability? Lin Ji smiled and shook her head. It's not that I doubt you. I just feel that this guy might have cheated you. He might be actually at the Sky Realm that time, but hid his real ability so well that you thought he was only at the Earth Realm. This guy seems to have a wicked heart and just wanted to be close to you. I don't know what schemes he has for doing that. After talking, she looked at Shi Yan with ironic eyes, not seeming to be concerned about Shi Yan's irritation. Yi Zhongfeng harumphed and said with discontent, Let's bet if you don't believe it. He and Shi Yan knew each other because he had taken the initiative to get close to him. It was not right saying that Shi Yan wanted to be close to him. On that island, he had witnessed the fight between Shi Yan and Mangu. How strange Shi Yan had been under Qi Yan's soul attacks, how helpless he was when Qi Yan had killed Linda and Xiaxing Chuan. Many signs had shown that Shi Yan's previous realm was not high, so it was impossible that he wanted to get close to him. However, entering the Sky Realm from the Earth Realm in just 1 year was hard to believe even if he saw it with his own eyes. Hence, it was understandable if Lin Ji, Luo Xiao, and Luo Meng didn't believe it. If he hadn't been sure that Shi Yan's previous realm was only the Earth Realm, he wouldn't have believed this was the truth either. While these people were talking, Shi Yan still stayed near there, so he could hear their conversation. In his sea of consciousness, The 5 devils crazily chased the 12 hollow spirits who had penetrated there and were now running and fleeing away in fear. However, under the 5 devils' pursuit, these 12 hollow spirits basically couldn't escape. The third eye of his host's soul released a light beam, forming a barrier that prevented the hollow spirits from getting through and blocked all the entrances of the sea of consciousness. After knowing that the hollow spirits had a great impact on the 5 devils, Shi Yan's host's soul began to show its power. It did not simply burn these hollow spirits into ashes, but also formed a variety of defensive barriers that only let these hollow spirits get in, but prevented them from going out, so they would become the 5 devils' nutrients. The 5 devils soon engulfed all 12 hollow spirits. Shi Yan's face became cold. He now looked at Lin Ji and then said impatiently, "Hollow spirits were solved." So what happened to Sin Yan? When he was dealing with hollow spirits, his entire body emitted a cold aura. The ice-cold flame was still vigilant, guarding against these 4 people in case they had any bad intentions. Right now, as the hollow spirits had been destroyed all, the cold aura from his body disappeared and gathered again in his eyes, making people tremble in fear. Under Shi Yan's cold stare, Lin Ji felt a little embarrassed. She grunted while her face slightly changed. Under Shi Yan's scrutinizing look, Yi Zhongfeng was a little ashamed, then explained, "After the 3 of us left the Hengluo Sea, we passed through the Vault of Heaven Sea area to go to the dark, magnetic, noxious mist. When we entered the dark, magnetic, noxious mist, 2 God Realm warriors of the Pure Land suddenly appeared and directly came to see her. Why were the Pure Land's people looking for her?" Sure, Yin coldly looked at Yi Zhongfeng with an odd face. He was full of murderous aura. "Did you and Lin Yiqi do something so that the people of the Pure Land looked for her?" "Hey bro, what attitude is this?" Lin Ji suddenly shouted. "My younger sister Lin Yiqi doesn't have any wicked intentions. She always has a good heart. You can doubt Yi Zhongfeng, but don't get my sister involved, okay? She was quite protective of her sister and deserved to be a good older sister." "You shut up!" Shi Yan impatiently shouted, frowned, and grunted. "Hey!" Lin Ji shouted again, seeming to be ready to confront him. Even Luo Xiao and Luo Meng looked odd as they felt that Shi Yan's attitude was too aggressive. Luo Xiao hesitated for a moment and said, "Friend, although you just helped us, still, you should mind the way you talk. Lin Ji is our big sister, and Yiqi is our younger sister. Your attitude is unacceptable. Even though you have a Sky Realm cultivations base, we are not scared of you." Luo Meng was quite hot-tempered. "Fighting with warriors who have higher realm than ours is not something that we have never done before. Don't think because of your Sky Realm cultivation base that you can do whatever you want and assume everyone has to be scared of you. Yi Zhongfeng and I are talking. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Shi Yan suddenly stood up with a dark face, coldly looked at Lin Ji and the other 2. "If you don't shut your mouth, I will make you obedient." "Stinky brat." Lin Ji's eyes became cold. The dragon bone whip in her hand shook violently and burst out with thunder sounds, releasing many shadows all over the sky like lightning. "Wanna die?" As Shi Yan was too worried for Sin Yan, he was now furious and thus launched his blow emotionlessly. He raised his left hand, and the death seal that contained Death Intent Domain suddenly pressed on those whip shadows in the sky like a small mountain. The Death Intent Domain in that seal was augmenting infinitely. The demise of lives took place inside that death seal. The death seal pressed down, giving people a strange illusion that all creatures in existence would be destroyed. A deadly force also quickly spread out. Under the attack of the Death Intent Domain, the illusionary shadows in the sky all dispersed and soon faded away. Her dragon bone whip was now exposed, as lightning was interweaving on the whip, striking toward Shi Yan's shoulders. The death seal pressed down, and all whips were penetrated by the intent domain of the death seal. The death intent domain ran along the dragon bone whip and then infiltrated into Lin Ji's wrist and her graceful body. Lin Ji's face went cold while her eyes showed her fear. Her face paled without a trace of blood, which gave people a bone-chilling feeling. "What did you do?" Luo Xiao and Luo Meng shouted at the same time. Their skeletons suddenly expanded, and their original hefty body now grew up to 2 meters. They angrily rushed to Shi Yan. "Stop!" Yi Zhongfeng finally shouted out loud. Clusters of burning fires of purgatory true flame diffused and turned into burning flames, staying between Shi Yan and the other 3, preventing them from getting close to each other. Seeing the purgatory true flame coming, Lin Ji, Luo Xiao, and Luo Meng stopped immediately. As they knew the purgatory true flame was really powerful, they didn't dare to touch it and just stood motionlessly. However, Shi Yan didn't stop. He leisurely walked through the purgatory true flame without any hindrance, coldly smiled, and rushed to Lin Ji. Cold aura spread out from his body. The swamp was frozen under each of his steps. The cold aura diffused and contacted with the purgatory true flame, canceling each other out. The purgatory true flame didn't harm him. "You are not the only one who has a heaven flame." Shi Yan grunted, turned his head to look at Yi Zhongfeng, and then dashed towards Lin Ji like a rainbow. Snap! Shi Yan raised his hand and slapped Lin Ji's glowing face. Lin Ji was stunned, holding her cheek while looking at Shi Yan in fear. You dare to slap me!" Snap! Another slap fell on her face. Shi Yan sneered, "It's to make you shut up. Don't you know that? Enough!" Yi Zhongfeng shouted angrily, "Shi Yan, what do you want to do? Why are you hurting my people?" "Hurt your people?" Shi Yan laughed fiercely. "If you don't tell me clearly about Xinyan, not only will I hurt your people, but I will also kill each of you one by one here." Those people's faces suddenly discolored. By now, they knew how vicious Shi Yan was. Luo Xiao and Luo Meng were originally about to take action, but after seeing Shi Yan still safe after walking through the purgatory true flame, the 2 of them realized that Shi Yan was not just an ordinary sky realm warrior. Luo Xiao, Luo Meng, and Lin Ji could provoke a fight with other sky realm warriors. However, Shi Yan was different. The ability that he had shown basically wasn't something that an ordinary sky realm warrior could have, which Luo Xiao, Luo Meng, and others had clearly seen with their own eyes. "Shi Yan, what are you doing?" At this moment, voices of the people of Zhao Feng's group came up from a distance. Zhao Feng, Li Yu, Qi Xiao, and others were coming over here. "Hey, why did you take action against them?" Zhao Feng asked from afar. "Just some Nirvana realm warriors. Why do you need to waste your time? In the former exotic land, you already killed 2/3 sky of sky realm warriors. So, why did you need much time to bother with these Nirvana realm warriors?" Yi Zhongfeng, Lin Ji, Luo Xiao, and Luo Meng looked panicked, with tremendously frightened faces. Chapter 415, submitted. Chapter 415, submitted. "Shi Yan, don't do this, I'm convinced. Don't be angry. Let's talk it out." Yi Zhongfeng quickly beamed a smile to calm Shi Yan down. Lin Ji's face was ashen without a trace of blood. Under the effect of the death intent domain, she was full of fright, feeling like she had just returned from death. Fortunately, her dragon bone whip had reduced half of the power of the death seal. The intent domain that got inside her head wasn't much. Otherwise, she would not have easily escaped from his death intent domain, and perhaps it would have deprived her of all of her vitality in the end. Lin Ji was originally about to use a secret treasure from her storage ring to deal with Shi Yan. However, after hearing what Zhao Feng just said, as well as seeing the ability of his team, Lin Ji gave up her attempt immediately. no matter whether what Zhao Feng said was true or not. With the cultivation base of Zhao Feng, Liu, Qi Xiao, they were strong enough to kill her thousands of times. Lin Ji thought that these people came here with the same purpose, so why couldn't she join them to deal with other forces in the swamp? Although she didn't really want to submit herself, she could only bow her head and keep silent, not daring to utter a word. Luo Xiao and Luo Meng had an odd expression, but didn't say anything. They secretly guarded against Zhao Feng's team, as they were afraid that those people might initiate some actions. Luo Xiao and Luo Meng secretly made up their minds that as long as Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others showed the slightest sign that they wanted to kill the two of them, they both would immediately escape with the fastest speed. Shi Yan, you don't need to be that aggressive. Yi Zhangfeng forced a smile and kept clasping his hands. You know that I have never had any wicked intention towards you, be it in the endless sea or in the dark, magnetic, noxious mist. We just have a small misunderstanding. Shi Yan nodded and said, I just don't like that woman quacking. If she had shut her mouth up sooner, I wouldn't have done that. Lin Ji bowed her head while her graceful body slightly trembled as she seemed to try to suppress her anger. Hey, still don't want to submit. Shi Yan, how about letting me give her a lesson? If she gets a few more slaps, perhaps she will be more obedient and even miss its taste. Kai gently came over, laughed out loud while looking at this group of people, ridiculing them. 7 Rot-10 monsters saw many more warriors coming, as well as the aura spreading out from the purgatory true flame and the ice-cold flame. They were well aware that if they continued to fight with those people from Shi Yan's team, they would possibly all die. Therefore, when Zhao Feng and the others came to this side, the 7 Rot-10 monsters unexpectedly scattered away. Eventually, Zhao Feng, Liu, and the others arrived this place, where there were neither any hollow spirits nor Rot-10 monsters. It thus became the safest place in the swamp. What happened to Xin Yan after all? Shi Yan kept his cold face and continued gazing Yi Zhangfeng. Well, it happened like this. After Yi Zhangfeng, Lin Yiqi, and Xia Xinyan had left the Hengluo Sea together and went to the dark, magnetic, noxious mist to avoid the chaos happening in the endless sea, Yi Zhangfeng and Lin Yiqi also wanted to inform their master about the unusual situation of the endless sea. However, when the three of them just arrived at the dark, magnetic, noxious mist's entrance, 2 spirit realm warriors, who claimed that they were from the Pure Land, suddenly appeared, directly approaching Xia Xinyan. Yi Zhangfeng and Lin Yiqi were puzzled, while Xia Xinyan was perturbed. The 2 spirit realm warrior of the Pure Land showed extreme respect toward Xia Xinyan, calling her sage, and invited her to return to the Pure Land, saying that they needed her to open some kind of a soul seal. Xia Xinyan was full of suspicion and rejected directly. The 2 god realm warriors from the Pure Land only apologized for being rude, then captured her and left, not caring about Yi Zhangfeng and Lin Yiqi. Yi Zhangfeng and Lin Yiqi were dumbfounded, helplessly watching Xia Xinyan being brought away. After that, the 2 of them thought for a while without saying anything, and vaguely felt that those 2 spirit realm warriors from the Pure Land seemed to mistake Xia Xinyan with someone else. Is what you said true? Sure, Yan still wore a cold face. How come I still feel weird? Why did those 2 spirit realm warriors of the Pure Land bring Xia Xinyan away without any known reason? As far as I've known, she has never been to the divine Great Land. So how do those Pure Land's warriors know her? But that's the truth. Yi Zhangfeng smiled wryly. Shi Yan, with my wisdom, do you think I would tell you such a mythical story if I wanted to lie to you? Shi Yan was stunned, as he contemplated for a while. He slightly shook his head and said with a suspicious face, Why? How come those 2 spirit realm warriors from the Pure Land could find Xin Yan? Do they really know Xin Yan? Impossible. Lin Yiqi and I had thought for a long time and guessed that this might have something related to Xia Xinyan's reincarnation martial spirit. Yi Zhangfeng hesitated a little bit before explaining. According to my understanding of the Xia family, I know that the Xias all have the reincarnation martial spirit, and they can use the memory and the comprehension of the previous generation's warriors. I think it's possible that Xia Xinyan's last generation is some Pure Land sage. Ah, the Pure Land does have this kind of secret technique. As long as someone has reached the God realm, given the situation that he is about to die, he can use this secret technique to reincarnate. Before performing this secret technique, that person will retain a divine sense to be stored in a special container. The reincarnation will happen every 50 years. This kind of secret technique seems to be called the Requiem Great Technique. The divine radiant cult and the Pure Land are not far away, so I have heard a little bit about it. Zhao Feng suddenly interrupted. Yi Zhangfeng screamed out loud with a shocked face. Is that true? Li Yu arched her eyebrows, gazed at Shi Yan, and then said, If it's true, that girl's in danger. Why? Shi Yan's face changed while his heart sank to the bottom, as he didn't feel good about it either. If that girl is really a reincarnation of a sage, once she is brought to the Pure Land, she will be fused with the divine sense of the last generation. That divine sense will wake up, and she will become that Pure Land sage. Her soul and memory of this life will vanish. Li Yu took a deep breath. I also know about this kind of secret technique of the Pure Land. I know that this reincarnation process needs a lot of preparation. I think although that girl was brought back to the Pure Land, she will still be safe for a short time. To wake her last generation's soul up, it will take at least 5 years to prepare. That girl needs to cultivate 3 kinds of secret soul techniques so that she can keep her soul in the wake-up time. Shi Yan pondered with a grave face. His eyes were cold and sharp like a knife while he whispered, Pure Land, Pure Land. The Pure Land is one of 7 factions of the Divine Great Land. They have around 10 spirit realm warriors. Except for these warriors, there is a true God realm warrior that guards the land. With your realm, to find the Pure Land and ask them to return a person within 5 years is not an easy task. Zhao Feng pitifully looked at Shi Yan, who is now wearing a murderous face. Within 5 years, if you can get the true recognition of the God sect to make the elders of the God sect look at you differently and use the God sect's forces, then you may have a chance to ask for that girl. Li Yu also nodded. This is the only way. 5 years, Shi Yan coldly said. I can't wait that long. Who knows if the Pure Land will wake her up in advance? Wait until the Endless sees things over. I will find a way. Relying only on your own strength, it's impossible to ask to take her back. Zhao Feng comforted him. You should wake up. Unless you can reach the true God realm, don't even dream about being able to confront a faction like the Pure Land. This is a big force that has 100,000 years of history. It has been dominating the divine Great Land for ages. Thus, they should have some background that you cannot imagine. After getting the situation, Li Yu, Kai-yi, and the 2 brothers also persuaded him not to act recklessly and take his time to consider. All the divine Great Land's warriors knew how terrible and dangerous an ancient force like the Pure Land was. Not to mention Shi Yan with only Sky Realm cultivation base. Even a warrior at the peak spirit realm would also perish when confronting that force. Shi Yan kept silent and didn't say a word. No one knew what he was thinking. He looked around and then spoke up after a while. You guys continue. I will begin my unfinished business. Then he left immediately, going to the area that was overwhelmed with hollow spirits. Cold aura spread out from his body. Wherever the cold air passed through, the swamp under his feet froze instantly. As soon as the cold aura diffused, the temperature of the whole swamp reduced sharply. Along the way, he opened his mind and left his sea of consciousness empty, deliberately enticing the hollow spirits to enter. In the area where the hollow spirits were gathering, the Rattan monsters could feel the cold aura from his body and thus quickly stayed away from him, not daring to disturb him. The hollow spirits were not scared of cold aura, but the soul attack. After he had opened his sea of consciousness, those hollow spirits got enticed and immediately rushed toward him, turning into many beams of green light and disappearing into his sea of consciousness. Every hollow spirit that fell into his sea of consciousness was trapped by the 9 serenities' soul-devouring flame and then devoured by the 5 devils. Around 100 hollow spirits were panicking inside his sea of consciousness, wanted to get out, but couldn't break the barrier created by the 9 serenities' soul-devouring flame. Even if they were struggling and fighting on all sides of his sea of consciousness, they had no way to escape. The 5 devils slowly swallowed almost 100 hollow spirits, and then his mind began to change quietly. Chapter 416, Spin Cocoon. Chapter 416, Spin Cocoon. In the swamp, nearly 100 hollow spirits floating around were attracted in Shuriyan's sea of consciousness, which were then swallowed by the 5 devils. When all of the hollow spirits disappeared from the swamp, the 5 devils in Shuriyan's sea of consciousness had a mutation immediately. Inside his sea of consciousness, the big bodies of the 5 devils gradually curled up and gathered together. Strands of soul consciousness quietly condensed on the 5 devils' bodies, seeming to be providing them some sort of necessary nutrients. Gradually, the 5 devils were fully wrapped, looking like a big cocoon. A string of surging spirit came out from the inside of that cocoon from time to time. A kind of cold evil aura was released from the 5 devils' bodies, making the soul consciousness in Shuriyan's sea of consciousness condense above, and seem to be well prepared for the 5 devils' mutation. Feeling the soul consciousness receding, Shuriyan showed an emotional look on his face and halted in the swamp. Although Qi Xiao, Zhao Feng, and others were fighting with the Rattan monsters, after realizing the change in Shuriyan's face, they all quietly came over and surrounded him. Zhao Feng and the others didn't know what was happening in his body. However, through his dazed appearance, they knew that he was not in a good situation at the moment. If he was careless and let the Rattan monster swath him, or be attacked by the other warriors, his life would probably be in danger. Whether they were the divine radiant cult's disciples like Xiao Feng or others like Qi Xiao and Kai Yi, they all didn't want anything bad happening to him. Therefore, they automatically assumed the obligation of protecting him, as they were afraid that unexpected accidents might happen at this stage. In the beginning, his soul consciousness flowed to the 5 devils at a slow pace. Once the 5 devils had condensed into a round object and formed a thick cocoon, even his soul consciousness that flowed to the 5 devils slowed down. At this moment, Shuriyan suddenly woke up in panic. The changes of the 5 devils in his sea of consciousness were continuing, still absorbing his soul consciousness. However, he was no longer affected by the 5 devils' changes. He now could maintain his consciousness to observe all that was happening. In this dangerous place, why did you suddenly become lost? Kai Yi blamed him. Her beautiful eyes flashed a trace of concern. She was next to Shuriyan as she cheerfully smiled, no longer hating him because of being rude to her in the lake. Shuriyan raised his eyebrows, looked at the crowd, and said shamefully, "Too many hollow spirits to digest. No worries, I'm sound now. Thank you for your protection, or else I might have had troubles." After hearing what he said, everyone else was now relieved, giving friendly smiles and nodding to him. There are a lot of Rattan monsters, so it's tough to deal with them. We'll stay here temporarily to wait and see the changes. As long as the Rattan monsters are still here, this swamp will not be in peace. I always feel that this swamp should quiet down so that some changes will come. The moving speed of Zhao Feng and Li Yu's powers in their body slowed down gradually. They stretched their arms out from time to time to deal with the Rattan monsters that dared to come close to them. Once those Rot-Tan monsters were beaten to the other areas under Zhao Feng's impact, he grinned and looked at the warriors in the other areas with ill intent. Shi Yan was startled and couldn't help but look towards Yi Zhongfeng and Lin Ji's area, and then called out with a pitching tone, "Yi Zhongfeng, come here!" From a distance, the 4 people of Yi Zhongfeng's group didn't have difficulties in dealing with the Rot-Tan monsters, as they had the Purgatory True Flame to protect them. The Rot-Tan monsters didn't dare come close to these 4 people. This kept them safe in the swamp without being scared of the Rot-Tan monster's threat. Hearing Shi Yan calling, Yi Zhongfeng's eyes showed a strange light. He hesitated for a while before nodding to Lin Ji, Luo Xiao, and Luo Meng, reluctantly coming to Shi Yan's spot. As soon as the 4 people of Yi Zhongfeng's group arrived, Zhao Feng and Liu quietly scattered. The other members of the Divine Radiant Cult also understood their intent, dispersing out and besieging the 4 people of Yi Zhongfeng's group, preventing them from running away. Lin Ji's face changed while her heart was frightened. After having received 2 slaps, Lin Ji seemed to have been awakened, realizing Shi Yan's cruelty. Thus, she felt a little scared of Shi Yan. However, she didn't know if Shi Yan had an ill intention or not. The 2 brothers, Luo Xiao and Luo Meng, were calm and didn't say anything. Their eyes flickered nonstop while being vigilant secretly. "Why do you need to be that cautious?" Kai Yi smiled gently, slightly shook her head, and said with a soft voice, "If we did want to harm you, you think you could escape us? You should be obedient. This place is not the same as the outside. If we want to kill you, you will die undoubtedly, no matter how much cautious you are." Lin Ji's face darkened as she helplessly let down her guard. "Shi Yan, are we friends?" Yi Zhongfeng came forward. His handsome face was solemn, and his sharp eyes looked at Shi Yan. Shi Yan froze for a moment and slightly nodded. "Let it be. If we are friends, then why do your partners keep provoking us? Are you the same as them? Do you think we are easy to be bullied? When we were in the Hengluo Sea before, I never hurt you and also brought Xia Xinyan along as you wanted. Although she was taken by people of the Pure Land, we were actually helpless in this incident. Even if she were not with us by that time, the Pure Land's people would still have found her," Yi Zhongfeng said calmly. Shi Yan nodded. If it's the case, then I'm wrong indeed. I am sorry. Because it's related to her, I'm a little too emotional." After saying that, he looked at Zhao Feng, Liu, and the others. "Don't be so eyeing. He is my friend. No matter what the truth is before I figure it out, I hope you have regards for me and don't bully them." After hearing Shi Yan's words, Zhao Feng and the others grinned and nodded. Their look towards Yi Zhongfeng's group became less fierce. Yi Zhongfeng quietly let out a sigh of relief. "Why are you here?" "Ah, since you've come here before us, do you know if anything is unusual in this swamp?" Shi Yan looked around with full suspicion. With many warriors gathering in the swamp like this, they clearly knew that it was not easy to mess with hollow spirits and Rot-Tan monsters. But how come no one left? After all, what were they waiting for? There should be some strange thing in this swamp area, something that attracted the crowd here. Otherwise, why did these warriors still stay here even though they knew that this place was extremely dangerous? Zhao Feng's and the others' eyes brightened. All of them looked at Yi Zhongfeng. Shi Yan's doubt was also what was in their mind now. They were very curious about why Yi Zhongfeng's group also stayed back here. It is said that the pure god soul of this exotic land is in this swamp. The source of this information is absolutely reliable. However, we have been staying here for a long time, but there is no movement of any soul. Yi Zhongfeng was somehow puzzled. According to my master, if the pure god soul truly exists, the most likely area should be in this swamp. How long have you been here? 7 days, more or less. During these 7 days, quite a lot of hollow spirits and Rot-Tan monsters appeared in this swamp. Some people of my team died on entering here. Many of them turned into hollow spirits after they died. It seems that after people die here, their souls do not perish, but become hollow spirits instead. Yi Zhangfeng frowned and explained. He thought seriously, shook his head and sighed. Maybe we shouldn't stay here for too long. If there is nothing in another 3 days, we must leave this place. Even if there truly is the pure God soul here, we don't have the blessing to get it. Oh! Shi Yan raised his eyebrows, looking at him with puzzled eyes. Every few days, a strong vibration will come up from this swamp. It's strong enough to crush people's souls. The latter ones will be stronger than the previous ones. During the past 7 days in this swamp, we have seen this sort of tremor twice. These 2 instances of vibrations almost made our souls collapse. Yi Zhangfeng's face remained calm and solemn. I almost forgot this. The next tremor should happen in 3 days, and it will be much stronger than the previous ones. With low cultivation bases, we're afraid that we will be unable to bear it this time. We don't want our souls to collapse. The 3 people, Lin Ji, Luo Xiao, and Luo Meng, also wore a regretful face and reluctantly shook their heads. Tremor. Shi Yan's heart was agitated. He faintly understood something. Did the last tremor just happen not long ago? Yes. Shi Yan immediately realized something. He expressed a horrified complexion. Can this kind of vibration affect people's heartbeat, making the heart beat faster, producing a kind of crazy soul fluctuation? The 4 people of Yi Zhangfeng's group nodded. The people of Zhao Feng's group had a slight change on their faces. They had realized this kind of vibration before they entered here. This tremor could indeed cause the increase of the heartbeat and make people go insane. Before that, when they were on the island, they had already got affected. The 2 brothers, Lao Li and Lao Luan, and Zhuasu reddened, and somehow couldn't control their minds. They could feel such a huge vibration even when they were on the island. Now that they were in this swamp, when the vibration happened, it would certainly be even more terrible. Moreover, according to Yi Zhangfeng's words, the next vibration would be much stronger than the previous one. Do you think that after the tremor, this swamp might present with something peculiar? With the strange sounds that resounded in the main city of the 4 symbols mountain range in his mind, Shi Yan hesitated for a while, and then vaguely came to understand. Well, I know it. Before that tremor comes, let's go together to see if we can find something. After thinking for a while, Shi Yan decided to stay and take a look at this swamp to see if there was anything abnormal there. The 4 people of Yi Zhangfeng's team nodded again. Chapter 417. The Swamp's Terrifying Changes. Chapter 417. The Swamp's Terrifying Changes. In the swamp, as Shi Yan had captured all hollow spirits, only the Rot-Tan monsters continued fighting. To the warriors in the bog, Rot-Tan monsters were not that terrifying. After the hollow spirits' threat disappeared, those warriors proactively began their attacks, dividing into various teams, besieging and launching their strikes. Whenever one Rot-Tan monster died, its blood would flow into the swamp. Blood from these Rot-Tan monsters was dark red and warm, giving people a strange feeling. Shi Yan had soon understood that these Rot-Tan monsters sucked human blood for food. Hence, the blood that flowed out from their bodies was not their own blood, but what they had sucked from human warriors. Killed Rot-Tan monsters were lying bloodily in the swamp. Time passed quietly, and soon 2 days were gone. Due to the hollow spirit's disappearance, the light inside the bog became darker. It was just the faint green light glimmering, giving people a gloomy feeling. Whenever a Rot-Tan monster died, the ambience inside the swamp would get a little bit colder, giving people a chill as if they were in a devil abyss. More and more Rot-Tan monsters were killed under the unity of the warriors. Also, more dark red blood was gushing into the swamp. The bog area became gloomy. All kinds of cold, evil aura seemed to spread out gradually, hovering above the swamp, sending people a creepy feeling that something bad was about to happen. Finally, all the Rot-Tan monsters were completely wiped out by the warriors. After their blood had been poured into the swamp, the originally green swamp now turned dark red. However, the green light emitting from the swamp didn't change, still floating above the dark red water area, making people feel strange. After all the Rot-Tan monsters were cleared, the bog became tranquil. Many warriors were aware that the atmosphere was unusual. They didn't say anything, just put up their guards and stayed vigilant secretly. Some warriors with lower realms even wore thick coats to resist the cold, evil aura from the swamp. Lin Ji covered her appealing body with a leather skirt, but she seemed to be unable to bear the cold, even though she had the cultivation base of third sky of Nirvana realm. She had to put on a thick velvet coat, fully covering the curves of her body. Her face even became a little pale. Lao Li and Lao Luan were also the same. They had to put on more clothes. As Yi Zhongfeng only had the cultivation base of first sky of Nirvana realm, and his sea of consciousness had just been formed, he was unlikely to be able to withstand the penetration of the cold air in this place. However, because he had the purgatory true flame, Yi Zhongfeng, on the contrary, was not affected. The flames coming out from his cuffs helped him resist the cold air. A feeling of extreme repression spread throughout the swamp. Everyone in the swamp had a feeling of insecurity. They looked extremely vigilant. Gurgle, gurgle. Water in the swamp blistered the very first dark red bubble. After that bubble burst, a plume of blood red vapor quietly spread out. Gurgle, gurgle. More and more blood red bubbles emerged from the bog. When those bubbles blew up, they released blood red smoke. The blood red vapor gradually diffused all over the swamp and shrouded all of the remaining warriors there. Thump, thump. A strange noise came up from the bottom of the swamp. The faces of the 4 people of Yi Zhongfeng's group changed. Not good. Lin Ji couldn't help but cry out loud with a frightened face. The tremor this time seems to come too early. The time shouldn't have arrived yet, right? The 4 of them seemed to know the exact principle of the vibration in the bog. Hence, after Rot-Tan monsters had been cleaned up, they weren't in a hurry to leave. However, the tremor of the bog this time was beyond their expectation. Since the Rot-Tan monsters had been wiped out, the vibration seemed to happen earlier than usual. The 4 people of Yi Zhongfeng's group were all at the Nirvana realm, but still lingered in the swamp because they thought that the tremor would not be arising for a while, and thus they still had some hope. Nevertheless, as soon as the tremor had just come up this time, the 4 of them were immediately anxious. They nodded to Shuryen, indicating that they wanted to leave right away to return to the ground with the fastest speed. Lao Li and Lao Luan, you 2 should go out too. Seeing the panic on the faces of the 4 people of Yi Zhongfeng's group, Shuryen also felt cold inside as he decided quickly. The 2 brothers were not reckless people. They looked at each other and gratefully nodded to Shuryen. They didn't dare to hesitate and hurriedly ran to the exit together with Yi Zhongfeng's group. The faces of Nirvana realm warriors from other teams in the swamp discolored as well. It seemed they all could sense something not good was coming, so they rushed out towards the exit, just like Yi Zhongfeng and his team. The quiet swamp now suddenly clamored again. One Nirvana realm warrior rushed to the entrance amidst the vibrant sound. As Yi Zhongfeng was taking the lead with the fastest speed, he was the first one who dashed through the exit. Boom! A heavy sound reverberated through the entire swamp area. The sound arose from the direction of the exit. Thick blood smoke stuck onto the dark green shimmering exit and seemed to form a defensive barrier that prevented anyone from going out. Yi Zhongfeng dashed forward, but not only could he not break it, but was also pressed down by a massive force. His body was like a bloody shell directly falling into the swamp. He suddenly screamed out loud. A fiery fire burst out from his body. This fire released a terrifying heat, burning the blood into smog. A first sky of Nirvana realm warrior of another team also had the same consequence. When he stormed towards the exit, the same force pressed him down, making him fall into the swamp while being covered with blood. This warrior didn't have heaven flame like Yi Zhangfeng, and thus, when his body was soaked in blood, he mournfully cried in pain. His body emitted a faint blood-red smog, and under everyone's attentive looks, his skin quickly fell off, exposing his white bones. Extremely erosive poison. The countenances of everyone in the swamp changed. Those warriors whose feet were in the swamp were aware of the blood's changes, which started to erode their profound qi. Even Shi Yan's face also changed, as he also could feel this kind of erosive poison existing. However, this erosive poison seemed to be much slower, and its toxicity was much less dangerous in other areas. Many warriors around who were stained with blood didn't scream mournfully right away, as the blood didn't dissolve their bodies. It seemed that only those in the swamp got affected by the extreme erosive poison. Seeing that warrior being eroded and dissolved, Lingji, Luo Xiao, and Luo Meng, who did want to fly up out of this place, changed their visages immediately due to the fright, not knowing if they should advance or retreat. At this moment, if they left, they would encounter the strong defensive barrier and probably would be pressed down by a certain force. Their bodies would then soak in that blood, be eroded and dissolved. However, if they didn't leave, the vibration, which had started already, would shatter their spirits, as they couldn't resist with their low cultivation base. Therefore, regardless of leaving or not, it seemed that they only had a dead end ahead of them. Lin Ji's group, Lao Li and Lao Luan, all wore a desperate look. Lao Li, Lao Luan, come back here. We'll see. Shi Yan contemplated for a while and suddenly shouted, Yi Zhangfeng, you guys should also get back here right now. That place isn't safe. Maybe it's the most dangerous place. Yi Zhangfeng was startled for a moment, and then reacted immediately, talking to the other three of his group. Go! Let's get back first. The two Lao brothers had already left with their fastest speed. Their feet didn't even touch the ground as they directly rushed back to Shi Yan's location. Yi Zhangfeng, Lin Ji, and the other two didn't dare to hesitate any longer. Although they could not pierce through the sky to fly, they still put all of their efforts in urging their Nirvana realm power and gathering all of their flying ability. Finally, they could fly up and rush back. The people of Shi Yan's group were all at the sky realm, so they could fly up away from the swamp surface and hover in the air. Seeing the Lao brothers and the members of Yi Zhangfeng's group coming back with a frightened face, Shi Yan's eyes suddenly brightened. A bone-chilling energy poured into the swamp beneath him. Under the cold energy, blood in the swamp was frozen and formed an iceberg, around 10 square meters large, enough for the Lao brothers and Yi Zhangfeng's group to land. While Lao Li and those people were worried that they couldn't keep floating in the air for too long, they saw the iceberg that Shi Yan had just created. They were overjoyed, landing on that blood ice rock. Friends, please help. As other Nirvana realm warriors also saw it, they all begged Shi Yan and rushed over at the same time, landing on that iceberg together with Lao Li, Yi Zhangfeng, and the others. The Nirvana realm warriors did want to leave the swamp area, but as they saw one warrior get killed bloodily, they became much more obedient and landed on the iceberg which Shi Yan had used the ice-cold flame to create. Most of the other warriors gathering in other places were at the sky realm, so they could fly. Seeing their fellows all gather at Shi Yan's place, those warriors hesitated for a while before flying over. Pound, pound. The vibration sounds became dense and seemed to pierce through people's hearts, making their souls tremble. It was unknown when the Nirvana realm warriors who were standing on the iceberg, all their faces and ears red. Their eyes gradually changed from frightened to dazed, even revealing a crazy, bloodthirsty intent. Just with a quick glance, Shi knew that those warriors might not be able to bear the first tremor. They would quickly lose their mind. We should kill them first. Zhao Feng frowned, looking at Yi Zhangfeng and others and giving a ruthless proposal. Those who are at the Nirvana realm will certainly lose their minds soon. They will destroy everyone they see. We should take the opportunity to resolve them while they are still half awake. Some members of the divine radiant cult also nodded. That's right. The Sky Realm warriors who were gathering here were boisterous, seeming to agree with Zhao Feng's suggestion. Chapter 4:18 Corpse-Eating Demonic Insect. Chapter 4:18 Corpse-Eating Demonic Insect. We should proceed as soon as possible, said a chunky Sky Realm warrior who swept over, looking at the Nirvana Realm warriors who were standing on the iceberg. In the swamp, blood bubbles emerged from time to time. Whenever those blood bubbles ruptured, scarlet blood mist emitted everywhere, scattering above the swamp. You don't have any of your fellows there? Sure, Yen was also standing on the iceberg, coldly looking at him as he asked. Yes. That chunky warrior grinned and said heartlessly, Those two are our Devil Valley's members. I do it for the sake of everyone. Once they lose their mind, they will crazily attack everyone. It's not fun at all. While talking, he pointed to the two Nirvana Realm warriors who were wearing dark blue clothing that looked the same as the one on his body. Brother, do not have a woman's benevolence. You can save them for now, but when they lose their minds later, you will become the one who suffers. It's better to act decisively, taking the opportunity when they aren't crazy to kill them. Another Sky Realm warrior proposed. Zhao Feng, Liu, and the others also nodded, waiting for Shi Yan's order to kill the Lao brothers, Yi Zhangfeng, and the other Nirvana Realm warriors without hesitation. Qi Zhao's face became cold. At this moment, he suddenly felt glad that he didn't let Zuosu and Zuoshi come down here. If they were here, they would have been in the same situation of these Nirvana Realm warriors, being sacrificed for other warriors' sake. It was unknown whether or not it was an intrinsic, indifferent nature of the warriors from the divine great land that they unexpectedly didn't care for their own people. In their hearts, as long as there was a threat from someone, they would kill those as soon as possible to avoid troubles later. Kai Yi's beautiful eyes flickered non-stop. She didn't say anything, just subconsciously looked at Shi Yan, awaiting his decision. If you want to do it with your people. As for our people, we don't bother you to help. We will have our own way. Shi Yan frowned, looking at Lao Li, Lao Luan, and Yi Zhangfeng's group. He hesitated a little bit before coldly raking through the Sky Realm warriors around. You do have a lady's heart. The chunky warriors grunted and said with disdain, Your deed isn't good for them. When you have to take actions later, they might have even worse deaths. Perhaps even their corpses could not stay intact. We'll solve our own matters. It will have nothing to do with you. Sure, Yen was standing on the iceberg as he raised his left hand. A flow of fiery flame shot out from his fingertip, like a fire sword hacking the iceberg and splitting it in half. The Lao brothers and the people of Yi Zhangfeng's group stood in one half of the iceberg and the other warriors in the other. Shi Yan's profound qi was activated. The part of the iceberg with Lao, Li, Yi Zhangfeng, and the others slowly moved away from the other part. You can do whatever you want to those people, but I don't allow you to put your hands on mine. Coldly looking around, Shi Yan gradually moved his part of the iceberg to a corner of the swamp. Brat, you are only at the first sky of Sky Realm, but your tone is so arrogant. The chunky warrior sneered and glared at Zhao Feng. Divine radiant cults people come to this bog with the same purpose, that is to get the pure God soul. For this purpose, sacrificing some people should be an obvious matter. You are a leader but cannot control this? Damn you! Stop talking nonsense. We will do whatever we want. Don't put your nose into our business, said Zhao Feng with rage. Despite the fact that Zhao Feng didn't agree with Shi Yan's decision, once Shi Yan was determined, he didn't oppose him. Instead, he would stand on his side. In Zhao Feng's eyes, Shi Yan's future would be the most brilliant in the divine radiant cult. Moreover, when Shi Yan was only at the third sky of Nirvana realm, he had already been able to kill a third sky of Sky Ream warrior. Therefore, Zhao Feng respected him a lot, not treating him like an ordinary warrior. As you wish. The stout warrior grinned and flew over to the other piece of iceberg. He said to the warriors who were gathering around, "Your decision and mine should be consistent, right?" Those warriors also nodded. The short and stout warrior looked at Zhao Feng with a cold visage. "If it's the case when I take action, it shouldn't be your business, right?" "As you wish." Zhao Feng looked at Shi Yan and nodded after seeing no reaction from Shi Yan. Boom boom. A bunch of swarthy lights suddenly flew out from the chunky warrior's cuffs. The evil light turned into a wicked, hideous soul beast midway, jumping into the group of Nirvana realm warriors standing on that piece of iceberg. When the evil light hit those Nirvana realm warriors, whose eyes were dazed, their bodies were torn apart and destroyed from the inside. Even their souls were eradicated. In just the blink of an eye, the bodies of 6 Nirvana realm warriors on the iceberg were split open, losing all their vitality. Streams of these corpses' aura quickly flew toward Shi Yan. From 20 meters away, Shi Yan's acupuncture points also spun fast, resulting in a strong suction force that attracted those streams' aura into his body. Not long after that, he had completely absorbed the aura from those dead warriors. His 720 acupuncture points didn't have any pain or swelling. Inside, the streams of aura were quickly condensed and transformed, faintly revealing the vibration that could affect people's mood. After entering the sky realm, the mystery martial spirit could accommodate the aura. It seemed to have leaped up to a new level as well. The aura of the 6 dead Nirvana realm warriors inside his acupuncture points was not too much. When his acupuncture points transformed and refined the aura, his mind was still conscious, without any signs of chaos. With the higher realm, the mystery martial spirit's capacity was increased. Even the refining speed was also much faster. People from a distance could realize the surge of the refined aura. Looking at Lao Li, who now had crazy eyes, Shi Yan hesitated for a while before suddenly urging the ice-cold flame's power. A flow of cold air shot out from his palms like water snakes, drilling into the Lao brothers, Lin Ji, Luo Shao, and Luo Meng. Under the cold air's infiltration, these people's bodies gradually froze up. Not long after, they looked just like ice sculptures. Only Yi Zhangfeng was safe under the penetration of the ice-cold flame's power. The purgatory true flame in his body proactively produced a fiery flame to offset all the ice power of the ice-cold flame that got into his body. After the ice-cold flame had penetrated his body, Yi Zhangfeng's eyes became evil, and his whole body emitted a vicious aura. It was as if the blood-red smog, which was still hovering around without dispersing, seemed to have realized something, that it unexpectedly surrounded Yi Zhangfeng. Thump thump, thump thump. The vibration sounds continued to resound from the swamp. Yi Zhangfeng gradually lost his mind. In the middle of the blood-red smog, he suddenly held drearily as if some kind of an evil force had invaded his soul, making him unable to control his mind. At the same time, waves suddenly rippled in the bog. In the center of those ripples, a giant dead tree slowly floated from the bottom of the bog, as if being driven by some strength. It then stuck out of the swamp. This giant tree had no foliage and had been dried for an unknown period of time. However, it was incredibly huge when it came out, gradually overwhelming the entire swamp. The giant tree was covered with thumb-sized, dark green insects, which seemed like they fed on dead creatures. They all had a very thick crustacean shell. Countless dark green insects slowly crawled on the giant tree. More and more insects got out from inside the tree and then spread throughout the swamp. Corpse-eating demonic insects. Zhao Feng's face changed and he shouted. As soon as the other warriors in the swamp area heard his scream, their faces all changed dramatically, as if they were encountering a pandemic. They immediately showed all kinds of secret, defensive treasures and martial techniques, protecting their bodies carefully as they were scared of being touched by those insects. These insects first crawled on the giant tree and quickly covered the whole tree in just a short time, producing buzzing sounds. Those hundreds of creeping insects had flesh wings come out from their shells. They flew up from the tree and circled above the swamp. Shi Yan, be careful. Those demon insects feast on human brains. They are extremely terrible. Once it gets into your brain, it'll eat even the spinal fluid, and only your corpse will remain. Kai Yi's face was cold, while her beautiful eyes beamed out a trace of fear. She quietly came close to Shi Yan. The ancient tree slowly rose from the swamp. When the giant tree covered the entire swamp, its roots suddenly emitted a milky halo. Inside that milky halo, a crystal lotus throne gradually emerged. No one stood on this crystal lotus throne, but it was emitting an earth-shaking aura. Rich heaven and earth aura spread out from the lotus throne, making the faces of the warriors in the swamp change. After taking in a breath of heaven and earth aura, they all felt relaxed and happy. When the thick heaven and earth aura flowed out, the blood-red smog, which was hovering around, suddenly flocked to the crystal petals of the lotus throne. During the process, the lotus throne's heart flashed a beam of white light and then disappeared. A heart-shaped object emerged from the center, releasing an ivory liquid that made people's souls tremble. That liquid gurgled and produced thumping sounds. Many flows of surging energy shot out from it, which seemed to crack people's souls. Life original fluid. Zhao Feng's eyes suddenly reddened. He grunted and revealed a greedy look. Chapter 419. Life Original Fluid. Chapter 419. Life Original Fluid. That heart-shaped utensil was as big as a walnut. The milky fluid inside it was pitifully little, only 5 or 6 drops at max. However, that small amount of liquid made all the Sky Realm warriors in the swamp go crazy. Hearing Zhao Feng shout, "Life Original Fluid," these warriors' faces all reddened with sharp, burning eyes. Even their breathing became heavier. In their eyes, the milky fluid seemed to be the most precious liquid in heaven and earth, as if it could make anyone abandon their lives just to have it. On the crystal lotus, that heart-shaped object flashed up and then disappeared so fast that most of the warriors there couldn't see it, except for hearing Zhao Feng shout. However, after that shout, the warriors seemed to forget everything, not even caring about the terrifying, corpse-eating demonic insects. They rushed towards the heart-shaped utensil at the fastest speed. The divine radiant cult's disciples, Zhao Feng, Li Yu, and the others were no exception. They covered themselves with defensive halos to avoid the siege of the corpse-eating demonic insects, while storming towards that heart-shaped utensil with greedy faces. Shi Yan dropped his jaw, looking dumbstruck. Even when Zhao Feng and Li Yu faced the sacred-level secret treasure in the exotic land previously, they had not been as impulsive as they were now. In their eyes, the so-called life original fluid seemed to be much more precious than the sacred-level secret treasures. Because of this fluid, it seemed they could even risk their lives. Although he didn't know the exact effects of this life original fluid from the others' performance, he knew that this thing was scarce and certainly had an irresistible attraction to warriors. Otherwise, those warriors wouldn't have become that crazy. On the way rushing to the lotus, 3 of those Sky Realm warriors were suddenly covered by countless demonic insects. Under Shi Yan's scrutinizing look, the corpse-eating demonic insects quickly ate the defensive halos of those three warriors. When their defensive energy halos were bitten off, the corpse-eating demonic insects took the opportunity to drill into their bodies, producing excited noise as they moved towards their victims' brains. Shi Yan could see the corpse-eating demonic insects subtly move under their skin, which gave him a creepy feeling. Those corpse-eating demonic insects soon gnawed those three people's brains and also ate their eyeballs, giving them a horrible death. The corpse-eating demonic insects also attacked many other warriors. Those corpse-eating demonic insects seemed to be defending something. As long as someone dared to come close to the crystal lotus, they would rush over and then use their strange ability to tear down the warriors' defensive energy halos as well as secret treasures. Even their armors were munched down. The corpse-eating demonic insects could eat anything from energy armors to the fleshy bodies. These defenses could prevent them for a while, but couldn't really stop them completely. Shi Yan and Kai Yi were standing in a remote corner, not hurriedly rushing over. Therefore, the corpse-eating demonic insects didn't make them their main targets. Kai Yi had a hovering halo around her body. Her beautiful, sharp eyes also stared at the crystal lotus, but she didn't dare to act rashly. 10 corpse-eating demonic insects were surrounding her body, chewing her defensive halo little by little. Because the number of them was small, Kai Yi could deal with them comfortably, unlike those arrogant warriors whose defenses were broken in a short time, and they had their brains eaten afterward. What is life original fluid? The energy of the starlight covering Shi Yan's body was reduced little by little because there were around 10 corpse-eating demonic insects were gnawing at it. He had to release more star power to maintain the presence of his star shield. While guarding against the insects, Shi Yan looked at Kai Yi and asked with doubt. It's said that life original fluid is one of the 3 kinds of sacred water. It can wash the origin of life so that a living being can have inconceivable changes. Kai Yi's eyes flashed a terrifying look. Life original fluid is an extremely effective support for the 3rd sky of spirit realm warriors to enter the true God realm. If a 3rd sky of spirit realm warrior has 1 drop of life original fluid and absorbs it into the life magnetic field of his host soul, then he can break through the true God realm and enhance his strength greatly. Shi Yan looked stunned. You may know that the later the phase of warrior's cultivation is, the slower the progress he can make, and the harder the perception and the comprehension would be. Most of spirit realm warriors will stay at their 3rd sky forever, hardly entering that threshold. Although there are many spirit realm warriors in our divine great land, none of them are able to enter the true God realm. The probability is too low. Life original fluid can help 3rd sky of spirit realm warriors enhance the opportunity to break through. Kai Yi's face was full of excitement. While talking, she couldn't help but continuously stare at the crystal lotus. She clearly had a huge greed for the life original fluid on the crystal lotus. Countless insects flew around above the bog, like locusts gathering near the crystal lotus. They attacked the warriors who dared to come close, chewing and tearing apart all of their defenses. In that crystal lotus, the life original fluid flashed and disappeared from time to time. Every time it appeared, it boiled up the surrounding warriors' blood and made them show their greedy eyes. Rich heaven and earth aura spread out from the inside the crystal lotus. Ivory smog emerged and hovered without dispersing. Standing 100 meters away from the aura, Shi Yan was also excited and had a graceful, wonderful feeling. In the dark, magnetic, noxious mist, although the heaven and earth energy of the other areas no longer existed, such rich heaven and earth aura still existed in the underground of this exotic land. This surprised him a lot. It was like all of heaven and earth aura that had disappeared in the dark, magnetic, noxious mist now gathered in this area, providing some kind of necessary energy so that the life original fluid could be preserved until now. At a particular time, it would arise from the bottom of the swamp. as the heaven and earth aura is incredibly strong. Perhaps I should try to let the Holy Spirit God out. Sure, Yin kept staring at that direction for a moment. His mind seemed to be triggered as he suddenly remembered something. He then urged his mind to connect with the blood vein ring, looking to the place where the Holy Spirit God was hibernating and releasing a soul consciousness. The heaven and earth aura in this place is extremely rich. It may supplement your consumed energy. Do you want to come out and absorb it? The Holy Spirit God didn't respond after a long while. Shi Yin focused his mind once again, bringing all the spiritual consciousness together and striking towards the direction of the Holy Spirit God in the blood vein ring. His spiritual consciousness twisted into a straight line, forming a bunch of light and then drilling into the center of the Holy Spirit God. Good. The Holy Spirit God finally had a weak response with a deep sense of exhaustion, like a dying old man. This gave Shi Yin a feeling of weakness and tiredness. Shi Yan's face slightly changed as he felt a little guilty. He quickly opened his mind to let it fly out of the blood vein ring. The blood vein ring was a strong confinement to the ice-cold flame. However, its treatment for the Holy Spirit God and the earth flame was different. If the Holy Spirit God and the earth flame wanted to come out, the blood vein ring would not stop them and let them go freely. The Holy Spirit God turned into a light beam, slowly fluttering towards the crystal lotus. Shi Yin quietly observed it. After the Holy Spirit God came out, he saw that the hovering heaven and earth aura seemed to be attracted, actually storming towards the Holy Spirit God, pouring into its special life structure. The feeble aura of the Holy Spirit God gradually grew up while the surging spirit was slow and frequent. It seemed to be recovering quickly. The recovery speed was slow at first, but now it accelerated a lot faster with the supplementation of the earth and heaven aura. While the Sky Realm warriors were facing the corpse-eating demonic insects attack, the Holy Spirit God turned into a bunch of light and was the first one who jumped into the crystal lotus. It flashed and disappeared into the crystal lotus. The connection between Shi Yin and the Holy Spirit God was suddenly cut off by the crystal lotus throne. Feeling cold at heart, Shi Yin was a little worried, attentively looking at that direction. After the Holy Spirit God jumped in, the releasing speed of heaven and earth aura from the crystal lotus throne suddenly slowed down. Even the heaven and earth aura that was already diffused also slowly retreated and poured back into the lotus throne. Is that light beam yours? Kai was standing next to him, watching him closely. She blankly watched the light from the ring on his finger flying out, avoiding all of the corpse-eating demonic insects and getting into the crystal lotus. It also caused the lotus's mutation, which terrified Kai a lot. She couldn't help but ask. Sure, Yin nodded indifferently. Kai Yi's eyes suddenly brightened. What is it? A strange life that can absorb heaven and earth aura. He hesitated for a moment before reluctantly explaining. What? Kai was startled, covering her mouth. She looked at the crystal lotus throne and said with astonishment, Then, can it get the life original fluid? If it really can, your struggle in entering the true God realm in the future would be much easier than the others. Besides, I've also heard that the life original fluid has another effect that is really magical. Shi Yin was startled. He wanted to communicate with the Holy Spirit God. However, after some attempts, he realized that he couldn't find the Holy Spirit God's aura, not even a tiny bit. Life original fluid is one of the 3 kinds of sacred water. In the divine Great Land, it seems to exist only in the legends. I have never heard that any big forces possess it. If you can have this sacred water, I think you can negotiate with the Pure Land to exchange for your friend. Kai Yi's eyes shone brightly. Shi Yan's eyes also lit up. Chapter 420. Take it on. Chapter 420. Take it on. Shi Yan's desire for this life original fluid was not particularly strong. After all, he was still far from the third sky of spirit realm. He was not really in need of this life original fluid at this time. Thus, he didn't crazily chase after it like Zhao Feng and the others. However, after listening to Kai Yi, he gave it a second thought. He didn't hesitate anymore. Whether the Holy Spirit God could harvest something in the crystal lotus throne or not, he would also want to compete for that life original fluid now. Do you want to go? Kai Yi smiled gently and encouraged him. This thing has a powerful attraction to those warriors. We'll enter the true God realm eventually. If you have this life original fluid, you can use it in the future. Other than that, the life original fluid also has another effect. From a certain extent, the value of it may be more precious than the pure God soul. Shi Yan's eyes were shining. He nodded without saying anything further and began to move towards the crystal lotus throne, together with Zhao Feng and the other warriors. His muscles silently bulged while his skin turned purple. Moreover, he also condensed all of his profound qi into a dark light shield to resist a large number of the corpse-eating demonic insects that might barge onto him. Above the crystal lotus throne, many warriors were being covered by the demonic insects. There were tens of thousands of insects producing buzzing sounds, constantly eating the defensive forces that those warriors released. When he came to the top of the crystal lotus, hundreds of insects covered him immediately like shooting stars. The insects rushed to the dark light shield. Their sharp teeth gnawed at his profound chi halo on the dark light shield little by little. The corpse-eating demonic insects could not only eat all kinds of protective armors, but also erode a lot of energy. The dark light on the dark light shield became gloomier under the corpse-eating demonic insect's attack. More profound qi was spread out from his body and crazily poured into the dark light shield. Under the profusion of his profound qi and the dark light shield being eaten continuously by the insects, if he didn't release his profound qi, he could not keep the dark shield from infringement. Zhao Feng and the 3/3 sky of Sky Realm warriors were rushing towards the lotus with either a dazzling light or special defensive armors to protect their bodies. Amidst the threat caused by the insects, they slowly descended to the center of the crystal lotus throne. Countless demonic insects slowly showed up at the heart of the crystal lotus throne, giving people a creepy feeling. The insects on the crystal lotus throne were slightly larger. Tens of them had silver scales, as well as ancient, serpentine patterns. These 10 corpse-eating demonic insects didn't seem to be ordinary. Their entire bodies were emitting dazzling lights and gloomy auras. When Zhao Feng and the 3/3 sky of Sky Realm warriors came close to the crystal lotus throne, those silver insects suddenly flew out from the lotus, producing an ear-splitting howl which seemed to be capable of tearing people's eardrums. From 100 meters away, Kai Yi's graceful body even trembled as she revealed a frightened face. The sea of consciousness of those warriors, who came close to the crystal lotus, seemed to be pierced through by a spear-like surging spirit. Zhao Feng and the 3/3 sky of Sky Realm warriors were agitated, showing a painful expression on their faces, while their bodies suddenly stagnated. 10 silver demonic insects flew out, blending with other hundreds of insects, and began to chew off the defensive forces of Zhao Feng and the other 3 warriors. The light beams containing sun flame power shot out like arrows from Zhao Feng's palms, aggressively stabbing the silver insects. Dang dang. When the sunlight from his body hit the silver insect shells, the collision like sounds echoed. Those silver insects weren't affected at all. They continued eroding the halo on his body. Under the erosion caused by the silver insects, his halo unexpectedly ruptured open quickly, causing Zhao Feng's face to pale instantly. He couldn't help but haul out a dark blue cloak and put it on. The dark blue cloak was a spirit-level secret treasure with surging energy of wood class. As soon as Zhao Feng had put the dark blue cloak on, the rich wood energy began to flow all over his body. Dead, Rot-Tan demons around seemed to be attracted, gathering and condensing into a large wooden armor on the dark blue cloak. To get the life original fluid, Zhao Feng had taken out his spirit-level secret treasure, covering his entire body to resist the silver insect's attacks. Seeing Zhao Feng use his secret treasure, the 3/3 sky of Sky Realm warriors no longer hesitated, taking out the secret defensive treasures from their storage rings to wrap themselves up. However, even so, the 4 of them still didn't seem to be able to bear the erosion caused by the insects. The secret treasures of the 4 of them were completely bitten off in just a short time. Zhao Feng's dark blue cloak and the Rot-Tan demons that covered the cloak were broken. They even made small pinholes on his cloak. Fortunately, there was the sun-refined light that Zhao Feng had condensed under the cloak. Only a double defense could prevent the silver insects from drilling into the body. As warriors had different levels, their distance from the crystal lotus throne was not consistent. The other top-level warriors and Zhao Feng were slowly sneaking into the crystal lotus throne and fighting against the terrifying silver insects. Those who had lower cultivation base were still outside the crystal lotus. They were strenuously resisting hundreds of insects' besiege. However, their eyes kept glued on the crystal lotus. The first sky of Sky Realm warriors like Kai stayed outside, not daring to come close to the crystal lotus throne, as they were afraid of the swarm of those insects. On the crystal lotus throne, after the insects appeared, the frequency of emergence of the heart-shaped utensil was getting higher and higher. Looking at the life original fluid inside, the warriors around all revealed a crazed countenance. At this time, Shi Yan's entire body was now purple and covered with the dark light shield outside and the star shield inside. He also slowly moved towards the crystal lotus throne. Hundreds of insects then rushed over him, gnawing his defense while he slowly dived into the lotus. Only he was a first sky of Sky Realm warrior who went into the crystal lotus, together with other 3rd sky of Sky Realm warriors. He gradually moved closer to Zhao Feng. The closer he came to the crystal lotus throne, the stronger the resistance he could feel. On the top of the crystal lotus throne existed a firm layer of a barrier. As long as he descended on the crystal lotus, the barrier would certainly affect him. The closer he got to the crystal lotus, the stronger the resistance of this barrier was. A violent energy burst out from Shi Yan's body while his eyes turned red. He was entering the 2nd sky of the Sky Realm. He forcefully pushed the barrier and quickly came to Zhao Feng. Seeing Shi Yan be able to come this close to the crystal lotus throne with only the 1st sky of Sky Realm cultivation base, many warriors in the surroundings were startled. Shi Yan, you also come here? Zhao Feng laughed. Be careful. You are indeed extraordinary. Even Li, you could not come here because of those insects. I didn't expect that you could do so. Ha ha ha, I really didn't mistake you. Brat, the closer you are, the faster you will die. You'd better leave soon to avoid an inexplicable death. The chunky warrior coldly looked at him and ridiculed. I'm sure you will die before me, Shi Yan said with a calm face. He suddenly took out the sky-breaking shuttle and immersed his mind in it. Can you break that annoying barrier to go into the crystal lotus throne? Yes, but I'll need 1/3 of your profound qi. Moreover, the creatures inside that crystal lotus throne are mighty. Once you enter there, you'll obviously be submerged by the insects. Can you deal with them then? You don't need to worry about this. You just need to break the barrier for me. Okay. A dazzling light beam suddenly shot out from underneath Shi Yan's feet. This beam of light carried the sharpness that could pierce through all kinds of barriers and directly broke the barrier on the crystal lotus throne. 1/3 of his profound qi was consumed. Shi Yan didn't dare to have the slightest hesitation. turning into a bunch of starlights while penetrating into the crystal lotus throne when the barrier was cracked open. He was the first one who landed in the center of the crystal lotus throne. Thousands of insects crazily swarmed over and quickly covered the dark light shield in just a short moment. The profound chi on the dark light shield disappeared at an incredible speed. In just 3 seconds, half of the dark light shield had been nibbled off. That brat got in there already. What? How come? With his realm, how could he do that? This guy must have a strange, secret treasure. Otherwise, he absolutely couldn't have entered the place. Seeing him be the first one who had entered the crystal lotus throne, other warriors all screamed out loud with disbelieving faces. Kai Yi's eyes suddenly brightened. She beamed a smile from the corner of her mouth. She knew that Shi Yan had a strange, secret treasure that could tear down all kinds of barriers. In the dark, magnetic, noxious mist, Shi Yan had used it along the way to escape many dangers, proving his real ability. Seeing Shi Yan be the first one who had entered the crystal lotus, she was not surprised. On the contrary, she felt happy, eyeing Shi Yan and awaiting his next action. It was unknown why Kai Yi always felt that if he put all of his strength to get the life original fluid, none of the warriors in this swamp could compete against him. Although Shi Yan had just reached the first sky of Sky Realm, his performance along the way had convinced Kai Yi. She always felt that Shi Yan could achieve things that ordinary people couldn't. Facts had proved that her feeling was not wrong. Shi Yan was the first one who fell into the crystal lotus throne. Right now, his entire body was covered with corpse-eating demonic insects, and his dark light shield was also shaking, as if it would collapse in a short time. On the crystal lotus throne, Shi Yan was crazily pouring all of his profound qi into the dark light shield and injecting the star power of the star martial spirit into the star shield. Moreover, he also pushed all of his strength to prepare to deal with the insects after the star shield was broken. Meanwhile, his eyes were anxiously looking for the heart-shaped utensil. Surprisingly, all of a sudden, he no longer saw that heart-shaped utensil on the crystal lotus. Chapter 421, Surging Tide Mind. Chapter 421, Surging Tide Mind. 10 silver insects quietly flew out from the crystal lotus throne and then drilled into Shi Yan's dark light shield. These silver insects were obviously different from the other typical insects. They had a more powerful strength and faster energy absorption speed than the normal demonic insects. 10 silver demonic insects showed their sharp teeth and mercilessly bit on the dark light shield. The massive profound qi on the dark light shield disappeared quickly. In just 3 seconds, the dark light shield covering Shi Yan's body was broken under the erosion caused by the 10 silver demonic insects. The speed of Shi Yan's profound qi injection was unable to catch up with the silver insects' absorption. Shi Yan felt cold in his heart. His complexion also changed as he anxiously looked for the heart-shaped utensil. He wanted to get the life original fluid as soon as possible. The warriors who were close to him were even more nervous than him. While dealing with the demonic insects, they also looked at him with sharp eyes and were ready to intervene, revealing the intent of snatching the heart-shaped utensil that would show up in any minute. After tearing down the dark light shield, the 10 silver insects quickly bit off one layer of the star shield inside without the slightest hesitation. The star shield was condensed from the star power, containing the profound meaning of the sidereal revolution of the star cycle and the eternal existence of the ancient truth. A ray of starlight formed the star sea pattern and released an immortal conception that would never extinguish. The star shield's defense was obviously better than the dark light shield, and that too not just by one level. Under the gnawing of the silver insects, the disappearing speed of the star power on the star shield was much slower. Even so, the star power that stayed hidden on the star shield still gradually faded. If this situation continued, The star shield might not be able to resist any longer after half a minute. The heart-shaped object still hadn't shown up yet. Shi Yan's eyes were serious, attentively looking at the crystal lotus. His body turned purple, preparing to resist the corpse-eating demonic insect's attack with his own flesh. Shi Yan, get out. You cannot bear it anymore. Zhao Feng, who was above the crystal lotus throne, couldn't help but shout in fear. These silver insects have higher levels. Even I can't resist them for long. If you continue to stay on the crystal lotus throne, the insects will bite and eat all of your body. Not far from there, Qi Shao also frowned and asked Shi Yan to leave. It was unknown when Kai Yi had already reached here. From 20 meters away, she revealed a look of concern seeing Shi Yan anxiously look for the life original fluid. She didn't ask Shi Yan to go out though. She didn't know why, but she felt that Shi Yan had another secret treasure that could bring the life original fluid out of the crystal lotus. The warriors near there were all submerged under the insects, and thus they had to put forth all of their strength to fight against them. Although they also wanted to jump into the crystal lotus throne, they didn't have any breaking barrier treasure like the sky-breaking shuttle. They could only resist the barrier's energy of the crystal lotus throne and slowly move closer to the crystal lotus throne. Kid, you really don't know life or death. With your sky realm cultivation base, you still have the guts to compete for the life original fluid. Even if you can get it, do you think you can bring it out? The chunky warrior grinned and revealed ruthless look. He was secretly well prepared. As long as Shi Yan could bring out the life original fluid from the crystal lotus throne, he would not hesitate to take action, snatching it from Shi Yan's hand directly. He even hoped that Shi Yan could really succeed in taking the life original fluid. If Shi Yan could do so, he wouldn't have to take the risk to enter the crystal lotus throne or deal with these insects, which were getting stronger and stronger. In his thoughts, snatching the life original fluid from Shi Yan's hands was much easier than taking it from those insects. Shi Yan basically didn't pay attention to the other's words, but he was looking anxiously at the crystal lotus throne. When the starlight on the star shield died out, he suddenly let go of his soul consciousness and poured it in the crystal lotus throne. A kind of spiritual light rippled like a sponge and spread out from the crystal lotus, like rippling waves. Inside the crystal lotus throne, there was another spiritual barrier that also prevented the soul consciousness exploration. In that spiritual light, the soul consciousness that Shi Yan had released was completely blocked, unexpectedly unable to penetrate any further. Not only that, his soul consciousness seemed to trigger some barrier on the crystal lotus throne. A violent vibration, strong enough to explode people's mind, came out from the crystal lotus. Under the impact of this tremor, the warriors in the swamp all trembled, as if a giant hammer strongly hit their hearts. But Shi Yan actually bore the full brunt of the attack. Amidst that violent shock, various mysterious forces in his body crazily struggled with each other like runaway horses. Tui! Shi Yan spurted out a mouthful blood. His body staggered on the crystal lotus throne, standing unsteadily. His muscles shivered in the tremor. Thousands of strands of strange powers all poured out, flooding his internal system. As his petrifaction martial spirit had reached the peak, it could produce a mutation at the crucial time and play a vital defensive role. The violent spiritual impact from the crystal lotus could make warriors who were even far away almost stagger, as they couldn't withstand this extremely fierce vibration. Under the help of the martial spirit, Shi Yan was standing firmly on the crystal lotus throne, and luckily didn't have a mental breakdown. The third eye of the host soul opened in his sea of consciousness. The soul-devouring energy of the 9 serenities, soul-devouring flame, turned into a cluster of small flames, running up to the sea of consciousness. The violent vibration that could damage ordinary warrior's mind was quickly surrounded by the cluster of small 9 serenities, soul-devouring flames. Before the surging spirit could damage Shi Yan's sea of consciousness, the 9 serenities' soul-devouring flame already burned it into ashes, turning it into nihility. With the help of the 9 serenities' soul-devouring flame, his sea of consciousness restored instantly, and his mind was not affected. At this moment, he finally saw the mysterious heart-shaped utensil, which had disappeared before, and then he saw the life-original fluid gurgling from it. The life-original fluid was on the crystal lotus throne. Inside the transparent crystal, there was a dazzling, strange spot that was emitting sparkling rays of light. It was also constantly releasing vehement, surging, spiritual vibrations. The heart-shaped utensil was like the eye of the magic formation inlaid in the crystal lotus throne. It constantly circled inside the crystal lotus throne, reflecting different kinds of lights from time to time, which revealed the heart-shaped utensil occasionally. However, that spot was shrouded by a big number of demonic insects. As long as those insects didn't move, they would entirely cover the heart-shaped utensil, making it unable to reveal itself. Only when the demonic insects began to move did the heart-shaped utensil flash up from time to time. "It has appeared." The chunky warrior was observing Shi Yan's movement closely. When the heart-shaped utensil reappeared, he couldn't help but scream with joy. All of the warriors breathed rapidly as they were quietly waiting and preparing all kinds of martial techniques and secret treasures. Crack, crack. Glass breaking sound arose. The 10 silver demonic insects pursued him closely after having chewed off his star shield. Shi Yan's body was directly exposed without any defense on the crystal lotus. Hundreds of insects suddenly rushed over him. Dang, dang, dang. Crispy metal sounds came out from Shi Yan's body. Under everyone's scrutinizing looks, Shi Yan was still standing motionlessly like a rock. Unexpectedly, he was not gnawed by those insects, but his body was in extreme pain. A corpse-eating demonic insect bared its teeth, mercilessly stabbing in his flesh, and then slowly penetrated it. The petrification martial spirit, which had been cultivated to the peak, had burst out all of its potential power. Countless strange powers in his body flowed out like a surging tide and began to form into many defensive circles to hinder those devouring insects. The corpse-eating demonic insects could bite off ordinary secret treasures and absorbed all kinds of power. However, they could not break the defense on his flesh body in a short time. Kai Yi's eyes lit up and covered her mouth in surprise. Qi Xiao was also stunned. His eyes and mouth were wide open, while his face was full of astonishment. Zhao Feng looked down and was dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say at this moment. The other warriors suddenly clamored and screamed out loud as if they were watching a terrifying scene. With only the physical defense, with the erosive attack of those demonic insects, none of them could drill into Shi Yan's body. His sturdy figure was really amazing. He launched a fist with a landslide-like energy, mercilessly striking the crystal lotus throne. A great explosive sound suddenly came out from it. The crystal lotus throne slightly trembled. A small concave spot appeared at the center of the crystal lotus throne, but the transparent crystal was not broken after his attack. The hardness of the crystal lotus throne was out of his expectation. Many demonic insects were trying to penetrate his body, while many strange powers in his body were dealing with those insects together. If he couldn't get the life-original fluid sooner or later, he would not be able to resist any longer. Another fist was launched. The crystal lotus still wasn't broken. Shi Yan's eyes changed slightly. He was terrified inside as he had a feeling of despair. Boom! Another punch was struck out. This punch carried all of his strength. Once the punch was launched, the The demonic insects clutched in his fist were crushed to death. His fist was also torn. A drop of dark red blood suddenly rolled out. This was a drop of immortal blood. A ruby-like blood drop exuded and spread out brilliant scarlet lights that were filled with mysterious energy fluctuations. This drop of blood rolled on the crystal lotus throne for a while before infiltrating to its center. The crystal lotus throne suddenly had a mutation. Chapter 422 King of Demonic Insects. Chapter 422 King of Demonic Insects. Dark red blood, as translucent as a gem, quietly rolled into the crystal lotus throne. The crystal lotus throne still emitted a vehemently surging energy. After this red blood's infiltration, the crystal lotus throne suddenly released an evil consciousness, strong enough to submerge and perish all the warriors. On the crystal lotus throne, hundreds of silver demonic insects roared crazily and flew out. Zhao Feng and the others, who were staying above, all wore frightened faces. Seeing the silver demonic insects rush towards them, they subconsciously moved away from the crystal lotus throne as they felt something was wrong. A silver demonic insect, as big as a human face, came out from the crystal lotus throne. The crystal lotus throne revealed a gap. This demonic insect was 5 or 6 times bigger than the regular silver demonic insects, and it had beautiful yet mysterious patterns on the body, as if it had a magical power that could oppress people's mind. Seeing that mysterious pattern on the insect shell, those warriors who were observing this crystal lotus throne showed panicked eyes. All kinds of energy beams suddenly interweaved on the crystal lotus throne. As long as a warrior stared at this pattern for more than 10 seconds, they would get crazy instantly and take action against the warriors standing next to him, daringly attacking them. The biggest silver demonic insect came out from the crystal lotus throne. It had 2 shiny green oak eyes, as big as soybeans and emitting cold green lights, filled with a bloodthirsty feeling. King of Demonic Insects, a level 8 beast. Zhao Feng suddenly screamed out, loud with frightened eyes, then quickly moved away. Hearing Zhao Feng's ear-splitting cry, faces of warriors around all changed as if they had encountered ghosts. They subconsciously stepped away from the crystal lotus throne. Seeing the giant insect come out from the crystal lotus throne, the corpse-eating demonic insects that were flying in the sky became crazily bloodthirsty. They seemed to have received more power as the energy absorption rate got faster and faster when biting off and devouring the crowd. Although the number of warriors in the swamp was significant, none of them had a profound cultivation base greater than the sky realm. Meanwhile, the level 8 beasts could be comparable to the human spirit realm warriors. When this level 8 corpse-eating demonic insect appeared, everyone was panic-stricken and terrified. King of Demonic Insects was the leader of corpse-eating demonic insects. It had the characteristics of corpse-eating demonic insects, as it could absorb all kinds of energy or eat humans, and also had a terrifying spiritual energy. As soon as this demonic insect appeared, there was a kind of surging spirit on top of the entire swamp that could explode people's heads. Under this type of spiritual fluctuation, each warrior's sea of consciousness shook endlessly. Those who had a low cultivation base had their sea of consciousness instantly attacked by these fluctuations, causing them to quickly bleed terribly. When the king of demonic insects appeared, Zhao Feng and the chunky warrior didn't dare to get closer to the crystal lotus throne. Both of them quickly moved away, as they were afraid of being seen by the king of demonic insects. At this time, Zhao Feng didn't have the time to remind Shuryen, as he needed to care for his own life first. Under these violent fluctuations, Kai Yi and Qi Zhao's minds were also damaged. Their faces paled as they could hardly bear it. Those who dared to stay within 50 meters near the crystal lotus throne were getting insane because of being affected by the king of demonic insects. Those people had lost their minds and lingered near the crystal lotus throne to fight against one another. They didn't have any consciousness or sense of pain. They kept fighting each other around the crystal lotus throne. Under everyone's scrutinizing looks, warriors who had lost their mind continuously died in their opponents' hands in just a short time. Their deaths were extremely miserable. Their bodies were chopped off or their limbs were torn down, or the insects chewed them off. Not long afterward, there were no more warriors who were still conscious. Only one person was standing in the center of the crystal lotus throne. It was Yen. On the crystal lotus throne, the insects surprisingly no longer covered him. Unexpectedly, the insects that were surrounding him didn't rush over him. Under his feet, there were countless corpse-eating demonic insects, which were not the sort of silver demonic insects. However, these silver demonic insects seemed to be obedient, not dashing forward like earlier. The king of demonic insects was in front of him. Its two small, dark green eyes were watching him quietly. Yen also gazed at it, which looked like he was silently exchanging something with the insect. "Give me one more drop of your blood." "Why?" "So that I can evolve." "Why do I have to give you?" "With your blood in my body, I will make you my master. But you have to give me your blood. This kind of blood can help me continue to evolve and enter a new life." "How much do you need?" "Give me 1 drop every month." "What can you do for me?" "Everything." Yen looked at it silently with strange eyes, feeling the spirit coming from it. Previously, when the king of demonic insects appeared from the crystal lotus throne, it had emitted vehement spiritual fluctuations. Under this kind of a terrifying, surging spirit, he had almost lost his mind and nearly gotten crazy in a short time. Fortunately, the 9 Serenities' soul-devouring flame played its role again at this crucial time. It burned the spirit that jumped into his sea of consciousness into ashes, helping him avoid falling into the insanity like the other warriors. The king of demonic insects' appearance had frightened him. He had thought that he would be finished this time by getting bitten off. However, looking at the king of demonic insects, he sensed a very familiar smell from its body. That was the scent of his blood. At that moment, he suddenly realized that this king of demonic insects had unexpectedly absorbed the drop of immortal blood which had rolled into the crystal lotus throne. Immediately, the unexpected thing happened. The king of demonic insects roared insanely, and the demonic insects in the sky that were crazily attacking the warriors around all stopped instantly and gathered at his feet, not continuing to attack anymore. At that instant, he received a soul consciousness from the king of demonic insects. The level 8 insects already had wisdom and could use soul power. Although it would not open its mouth to talk, it could use its soul to communicate with others. This king of demonic insects was a rare beast. Is the life original fluid still in that crystal lotus throne? You also come from there. How is the relationship between you and that life original fluid? If you fulfill my demand, the life original fluid will be yours. Why do you have a strong desire for my blood? It's like humans want the life original fluid. Your blood also has an irresistible temptation. The blood in my body is not normal. I don't know how to condense it for the time being. Even if I promise you now, I can't guarantee anything. If you don't give me your blood, the agreement between you and me will be automatically null and void. Every half a year, you shall give me 5 drops of your blood, and I will give you 1 drop of the life original fluid. What do you think about this agreement? Let me think. On the crystal lotus throne, Yen and the king of demonic insects looked at each other and exchanged their communication through their souls. Countless insects were flying around the crystal lotus throne, pursuing the other warriors. At this time, Yen was in the center of the crystal lotus throne, safe and sound, coldly looking at the king of demonic insects while not being attacked by the insects. The other warriors just stared at the crystal lotus throne and exposed a visage of extreme shock. No one knew what was going on. They only knew that this brat dared to enter the crystal lotus throne that was filled with a lot of demonic insects to get the life original fluid, and was still safe and sound over there. Kai, Yi, Xiaofeng, and Qi Xiao opened their eyes, blankly looking at that direction while still using their profound qi to resist the insect's attack. The demonic insects were getting more and more powerful, crazily attacking any warrior who dared to appear in the swamp. Some silver demonic insects also flew out from the crystal lotus throne, staring at Kai Yi, Xiaofeng, and Qi Xiao with murderous looks. Under the attack of the silver demonic insects, only Xiaofeng and Liu, who had the cultivation base of third sky of Sky Realm, could resist it. Qi Xiao and Kai Yi of the divine radiant cult, who were only at the first sky and second sky of Sky Realm, could barely resist it. Their defensive forces seemed to be completely eaten soon, and their body would be exposed. They didn't have a sturdy body like Shi Yan, so once their bodies were exposed, they would definitely be dead. Qi Xiao and Kai Yi were scared, and thus slowly moved to the entrance, wanting to find a chance to get out. They did not dare to stay here any longer. Unfortunately, there existed a terrible barrier at the entrance. One first sky of Sky Realm warrior, who was faster than Qi Xiao, dashed forward the entrance, but then a huge pressure oppressed him instantly. "Tell your fellows to stay away from them." Shi Yan suddenly spoke up and pointed to the group of Qi Xiao, Kai Yi, and the others of the divine radiant cult. "Okay," the king of demonic insects replied. "Ah," Kai Yi exclaimed pleasantly, unable to conceal the joy in her eyes. Also, she let out a sigh of relief. Chapter 423. Kill them all. Chapter 423. Kill them all. Shi Yan shouted, telling the king of demonic insects to stop other small insects from attacking Qi Xiao, Kai Yi, and other people of divine radiant cult. Qi Xiao and Kai Yi were almost unable to resist any longer. However, at the crucial time, the demon insects suddenly flew away, not continuing to attack them. Qi Xiao and Kai Yi let out a sigh of relief with a surprised face, looking at Shi Yan in the crystal lotus. In the swamp, as many other warriors saw that Qi Xiao and Kai Yi were no longer besieged by those insects thanks to Shi Yan's words, they were all stunned and revealed a jealous expression. That guy Shi Yan, how did he do it after all? Zhao Feng came to Kai Yi and Qi Xiao and asked suspiciously. Qi Xiao and Kai Yi shook their heads as they didn't know either. It was unexpected that the king of demonic insects listened to Shi Yan's orders, which surprised everyone. They didn't know what method he had used to make the king of demonic insects submit. While Qi Xiao and Zhao Feng were still in doubt, they quietly observed Shi Yan and realized that he was discussing something with the king of demonic insects in the crystal lotus throne. "Remove the barrier. I agree with your proposal." Shi Yan looked the king of demonic insects, contemplated for a while before making his mind up, as he felt that this proposal didn't bring him any harm. "How about the others? Is killing them good for you?" "There's no harm. Their energy and blood can enhance the strength of our little fellows." "If so," Shi Yan hesitated a little bit and kept looking at the chubby warrior and his team, then said with a faint smile, "Can you wait for a while? Ask your little fellow to leave first, and you'll go into the swamp. I need a reason to kill them." "What?" "Listen to me." The king of demonic insects didn't say anything. It didn't seem to understand him, but still followed his orders after getting his agreement on the proposal. The crystal lotus sank slowly. The demon insects that were hovering in the sky followed the command and plunged down from the sky, either going into the crystal lotus throne or drilling into the giant ancient tree. Afterward, no demonic insects were seen on the swamp. Shi Yan retrieved the sky-breaking shuttle, leaped up to the air and flew over to Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and Kai Yi after hesitating a little bit. How did you do that? Zhao Feng ogled and asked curiously. That is a level 8 beast. It's much more powerful than us. I didn't expect that you could ask it to stop attacking us. Shi Yan, are you human after all? How can this beast listen to your orders? Qi Xiao, Kai Yi, and Li Yu were also very curious. Its power was limited by the crystal lotus throne and can't be utilized totally. It cannot show up in the swamp for a long time. I told it to give 1 drop of the life original fluid and that we will immediately leave this place. It agreed with that. Looking at the warriors around who were approaching, Shi Yan deliberately said out loud, because of its intelligence, this beast knows what to choose. It knows that if it fights with us for a long time, it will bear a great loss, being severely hurt by the crystal lotus throne's power. That's why it gave up. After talking, he looked at the chunky warrior, laughed, and said, It said that there is only life original fluid in the swamp this time, not the god soul. It gave me a drop and said that we should leave this place as soon as possible. It gave you a drop? The chunky warrior's eyes lit up with shock. He burst into laughter. Kid, your realm is still far away from the spirit realm. It's useless for you to keep that drop of life original fluid. Can you exchange it with me? Exchange it. Shi Yan pretended to be surprised, caressed the blood vein ring, and shook his head. Although I have not entered the spirit realm yet, I'll enter it one day sooner or later. I can use this drop of life original fluid when I want to break through the spirit realm. No matter what you offer to exchange for it, the value is far from enough. The face of the chubby warrior darkened. He beamed a faint smile and stared at Shi Yan. The warriors of Devil Valley quietly gathered around that chubby warrior, coldly looking at him with unfriendly eyes. Many warriors also had greed for the life original fluid like this chubby warrior. They wanted to take action to take it from Shi Yan, not having any intent of leaving this place. Some other warriors' eyes flickered constantly. As they seemed to know this swamp was very unusual, they silently watched the changes, waiting to leave this place and then take action on the island. Kid, you are not qualified to have that life original fluid. Give it to me. The chubby warrior sneered coldly as his face darkened even more. Zhao Feng frowned and said, Hey fatty, you talk too much. Shi Yan is the one who got it. If you are brave enough, go find and kill those demon insects. Stop talking nonsense. The chunky warrior seemed to be impatient. He looked at the other third sky of sky realm warriors of other teams and said, Everyone here also has the same thought as me, right? We should unite to deal with this brat first, and then discuss the plan together. I feel that this kid isn't telling the truth. Perhaps he has more than 1 drop of the life original fluid from the king of demonic insects. Hand it. Take it out. Tell us the truth, and we will not hurt you. You cannot get away if you don't give it to us. In the swamp, all the sky realm warriors looked at Shi Yan coldly and with a ruthless manner. Shi Yan still looked calm. He smiled and shook his head. No. Do you want to die? The chunky warrior coldly shouted. So, all of you want the life original fluid? If I don't hand it out, won't you take action to kill me and take it? Shi Yan looked at everyone and said slowly, Of course. Shi Yan smiled, nodded, and said, Nothing else I can do then. Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others on his team were a little bit surprised, before quietly coming close to him, ready to intervene. Shi Yan didn't say anything further, secretly guarding against Zhao Feng and the others as well. He knew how precious this life original fluid was, and was not sure if Zhao Feng and others also had greed for it. He was now testing the crowd. Be careful. With so many warriors together like this, we have to put forth all of our strength to be able to resist them. Zhao Feng said with a lower voice and a solemn face. Kid, if you have any tricks or means, you have to use them immediately. Don't hesitate any second. When those warriors unite, they are much stronger than us. There seemed to be a struggle in Li Yu's heart. She stood there with a blank face for a long while before taking a deep breath and then said with a strange look, Shiyan, can you deal with those third sky of sky realm warriors after all? One, Shiyan said with a wry smile. Forget it. Let's fight. Li Yu shook her head gently. I will take the risk with you this time, but everyone should be well prepared for the worst. You guys really want to help me? Shiyan was stunned and shocked. The life original fluid is precious and is in my hands. I will not give it to you. So why do you need to help me? As long as you don't block my way, I already appreciate it. You guys don't need to help me. He still guarded against Zhao Feng and the people of the divine radiant cult, as he always felt that they were not reliable. In his eyes, he and Zhang Feng were not very close, so Zhang Feng didn't need to offend everyone just because of him. He was even worried that Zhang Feng and the chubby warrior would unite to snatch the life original fluid from him. You are also one of the divine radiant cult, and you will be the future seed of the God sect. We can be considered to be ready to go through thick and thin along the way. If we kill you just because of the life original fluid, we are really cheap. Zhang Feng stared at him and snarled, What kind of person do you think this Zhang Feng is? Frankly, I have hesitated earlier, but now I have figured it out. Li Yu said embarrassedly, How about you? Shiyan looked at Kai Yi. We have gone through so many troubles together, and you are also the one who has saved us many times. Kai Yi smiled, pointed to the two brothers and Yi Zhangfeng, who were still frozen. Although you look emotionless, you have your own principles. Without your help, it is unknown how many times these people would have died already. Pausing for a while, Kai Yi then smiled. I really can't figure it out. I cannot think of any reason not to stand on your side. Shiyan nodded. It was not a waste to ask the king of demonic insects to let go of you. The only person that he didn't ask was Qi Xiao, as he was confident that Qi Xiao would obviously be on his side. Such a touching friendship. Geez. The chubby warrior laughed coldly, clapping his hands. His eyes displayed a trace of disdain. We shouldn't continue to hesitate. Although this group of divine radiant cult is powerful, it's not difficult to take them down if we join forces, isn't it? Everyone nodded. Sure, Yen suddenly revealed a comfortable and calm smile. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing at the fact that you want to die. The demonic insects that had disappeared earlier suddenly appeared again from the swamp. The king of demonic insects in the crystal lotus throne, which had sunk in the swamp, also emerged from the water. Its small green eyes looked at Shiyan, seeming to be waiting for something. From 100 meters far away, Shiyan nodded with it and said, Kill them all. Countless demonic insects suddenly got crazy, overwhelmingly dashing forward and shrouding all of the warriors in the swamp once again. Only Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, and the others from their team were safe. I told you that I was sure you would die before me, and you didn't believe it. Believe it now. Shiyan grinned and mockingly looked at the chubby warrior, who was surrounded by 10 silver demonic insects. A look of horror flashed across his face. He didn't even have time to say anything. Chapter 424, Promise. Chapter 424, Promise. The crystal lotus throne rose out of the swamp again. The king of demonic insects screeched loudly on the crystal lotus throne, while a lot of demon insects rushed over the warriors in the swamp. Shiyan was standing above the swamp, coldly watching the warriors who had shown off their strength earlier being wrapped by the demonic insects. As the number of the demonic insects was tens of thousands, and the swamp was their territory. These warriors had no strength to fight back this slaughter. Under the erosion by the insects, the warriors' defensive halos and secret treasures were all chewed off completely. The demonic insects then drilled into those warriors' bodies, ate their brain, and killed them in the end. The eyes of Qi Xiao, Zhao Feng, and the others revealed a trace of fright. Looking at the insects that were eating those warriors, they were now aware of Shi Yan's wicked heart. The king of demonic insects on the crystal lotus throne slowly moved toward Shi Yan, looking at him with longing eyes. You have to kill all of them. Let's discuss something else. Shi Yan frowned and released his soul consciousness. Good. The king of demonic insects answered him cleanly. Amidst a loud scream, the demonic insects crazily submerged all of the warriors, starting the bloody slaughter. Except for Shi Yan's team, the other warriors were all attacked and killed. Whenever a warrior died, Shi Yan would absorb that warrior's scattering aura into his acupuncture points. There were more than 30 warriors, most of whom were at the sky realm. So, their auras went beyond his expectation, making his acupuncture points become terribly swollen. Shi Yan knew that absorbing the aura this time would deliver him to a crazy situation, but he was not nervous. Anyway, there were no enemies around this time. If he could have time later, he would definitely recover easily. The corpses shriveled and slowly sank into the swamp, coming back to float on the swamp again not long after that. The demonic insects continued to erode those dead bodies and soon turned them into skeletons. It was an extremely miserable fate indeed. Even Zhao Feng had to wear a frightened face as he also felt a bone-chilling dread. How did you do it, after all? Zhao Feng asked with a hoarse voice while looking at Shi Yan. The king of demonic insects is a level 8 beast with intelligence. It's not just with some demagogic words that you can make the king of demonic insects compromise. I'm really curious. Why does this king of demonic insects listen to your orders? This was what everyone wanted to know. That's right. Not just demagogic words can make it obedient. Shi Yan beamed a faint smile, but didn't explain anything. The king of demonic insects and I have an agreement, which is hard to be explained in details. So, you shouldn't ask much about it. Zhao Feng nodded. I can get the life original fluid from the king of demonic insects. I didn't lie about it. After hesitating a little bit, Shi Yan continued. However, I can't have it immediately. It requires a process. I'm not sure if I can take all of the life original fluid from the king of demonic insects or not. Everyone's eyes brightened. If one of you enter the third sky of spirit realm, you can find me later, and I will give you 1 drop of the life original fluid. Shi Yan beamed a smile. Zhao Feng, Qi Xiao, Liu, and Kai Yi all showed shocked faces, while their eyes were sparkling with dazzling lights. Consider it as a promise, Shi Yan said. I promise you guys that any of you who enter the third sky of spirit realm can always find me to have 1 drop of the life original fluid. As long as I still have it, I will not be stingy. Zhao Feng and Liu's faces were both stunned. Their bodies were trembling. Qi Zhao's eyes were wide open while nodding with a grateful face. Kai Yi gently smiled while her eyes lit up. Remove the barrier. Shi Yan looked at the king of demonic insects on the crystal lotus throne. Bang! An explosive sound echoed from the entrance. The blood-red smog hovering around the entrance dissipated quietly. You guys go up first. I need to stay here for a while. I need to spend more time with it. Pointing at the entrance, Shi Yan said firmly, that entrance should have no barrier, so you don't need to be worried. After talking, he walked towards the Lao brothers and Yi Zhangfeng, while his body emitted a fiery flame. Under the scorching heat, the ice rock around Lao Li, Luo Meng, and the others gradually melted. Their bodies were exposed little by little. Yi Zhangfeng's eyes were in a daze. When the heat power came close, the purgatory true flame on his body automatically released the defensive fire net. On the crystal lotus throne, there was no lozure any vibrations that could agitate people. When the earth flame came close, Yi Zhongfeng suddenly woke up and his eyes brightened. What happened? Seeing dead warriors floating in the swamp, Yi Zhongfeng wore a frightened face and asked, "What happened in the swamp after all? Why did those people become like that? Only you guys are alive?" Shi Yan nodded. "Did you get it?" "What?" "The life original fluid." Shi Yan looked at him with surprise. "You also know about the life original fluid." "It's the reason why we came here." Yi Zhongfeng revealed sad eyes and wryly smiled. "I knew that there should be the life original fluid in the swamp. I came here with the hope that I could get one drop of the life original fluid. However, as my cultivation base is low, not reaching the sky realm yet, I lost my mind in this place. If Shi Yan didn't help you, I'm afraid that you would have been dead." Kai Yi frowned and told them about what had happened. She said that Shi Yan had used the ice-cold flame to freeze them, avoiding other warriors' attack. She also told them about the demonic insects that flew around in the sky and ate all of the warriors in the swamp to death. On listening to the story, the visage of the Lao brothers, Lin Ji, and the others changed to a frightened look. Lao Li thanked Shi Yan sincerely with gratitude. Shi Yan beamed a faint smile, but didn't say anything. Lin Ji was a little embarrassed. She bowed her head and also said thank you in a low voice. Shi Yan nodded with a smile and continued saying nothing. "Shi Yan, aren't you?" Yi Zhongfeng was hesitant and didn't finish his sentence. He looked at Zhao Feng and then Qi Shao and Kai Yi contemplated for a while before saying, "Shi Yan, I want to tell you something in private." "Okay." Shi Yan proactively moved towards the crystal lotus throne, and his body suspended above it, indicating that Yi Zhongfeng should get there with him. Yi Zhongfeng stood on a dark red lava rock, surprisingly looking at Shi Yan and revealing a hesitant face. He seemed to know the power of that crystal lotus throne as well as the existence of the king of demonic insects, and thus he didn't dare to go there. "It's all right." Shi Yan comforted him. Yi Zhongfeng's face looked less worried. He now slowly moved closer to him. Lin Ji, Luo Meng, and Lu Shao also wanted to go there, but Yi Zhongfeng threw them a glance to stop them from coming. They eventually flew to another lava rock. "You guys go first." On the crystal lotus throne, Shi Yan nodded to Qi Shao, Zhao Feng, and others. "You go up first. I will go there in 2 days, and we will talk later." Pausing for a while, he continued, "Bring Lin Ji and her team with you." Although Zhao Feng and Liu didn't understand what he was doing, they didn't ask much. They just nodded and led the team of Luo Meng, Lin Ji, Lao Li, and the others to leave. At the entrance, there wasn't any barrier indeed. They went through it, flying up to the island. In the swamp, there were only Yi Zhongfeng and Shi Yan left. "Did you really get the life original fluid?" Looking at the crystal lotus thrown below, Yi Zhongfeng asked with a longing face. Shi Yan nodded. "Can you give me 1 drop? I just need 1 drop." Yi Zhongfeng suddenly got excited. Shi Yan frowned but didn't say anything. "I know the life original fluid is very precious. I know how much value this kind of liquid has to even spirit realm warriors." Yi Zhongfeng was stirred up. "I can exchange it for something. As long as you tell me what you need, I will find it for you. No matter what, I will absolutely find it. I just want 1 drop of the life original fluid." Shi Yan was stunned, looking at him with puzzled eyes. After a long while, he said, "You are still far away from the 3rd sky of Spirit Realm. Why do you want a drop of the life original fluid? I'm not asking it for myself." Yi Zhongfeng let out a sigh and reluctantly said, "My master has been stuck at the third sky of spirit realm for a long time. He is an alchemist and has spent all of his life in refinement. He's so close to the true God realm, but he isn't sure he can enter it. I'm afraid he will be depressed. That's why I'm asking a drop of the life original fluid for him." Yi Zhangfeng shook his head and continued, "I'm the abandoned disciple of the Spirit Treasure Sect and was almost taken to feed the beasts. If my master didn't accept me, I should have died already. I don't want to see him stay in this realm forever. I know that entering the true God realm is the wish of his life. I just want to help him and repay him for those years of teaching me." "Sure," Yan seemed to be touched. "Please," Yi Zhangfeng begged him. "I know that I cannot get any valuable things now, but I promise you that if you need anything later, I will do my best for you. You can say your request now, and I will certainly keep it in my heart and fulfill it later. Let me ask." Being silent for a long while, Shi Yan looked at the king of demonic insects and sent out a strand of his soul consciousness. "Can you give me a drop of the life original fluid?" "Yes." "Thank you. You have to give me 1 drop of your blood first." "Deal." You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.